Hello, Clarice. Okay, guys. So setting up for the debate. Let me see. How are we going to do this? Watch live? Is it watch live? Trump 2020. Leah in the house. We all know Leah's code slammer in the house. Two-party system. Yay. Levi in the house. All my beautiful people back uptown, baby. Lenox Ave. My Oyes on Broadway all day. Y'all don't know about that. Let's see. That's in the Chrome. Do you guys know where I can go to the channel? Is it on Fox? Is it on YouTube? Help me out. I'm jumping on Hulu right now. This is going to be a disaster. Yeah. I agree with you, unfortunately. Watch now. Fox News. Ben Moen in the house. Augustin is saying, go Trump. Let me pull out this thing here. I think we're live, ladies and gents.
America does democracy extremely well, and I'm really glad that all of us are here watching it together.
America does democracy extremely well, I'm told. All right. Where's Sori? Sori's on the way. Sori's on the way. Guys, share this out to your various whatevers. I don't want that group hearing about this because those people are not my crew.
It's an unusual campaign year, an unusual campaign, and as a result,
oh, Karl Rove in the house. Apparently, Karl Rove is like the Antichrist, right? He's like the grand architect.
Good luck, honey. I think they're going to do great. And somebody erstwhile in an authentic tone of voice said, "Just be yourself."
Just be yourself.
Advice, but it really is true. We need to see these two men as they really are. This is the closest we come to a sort of a national examination.
I am posting this in the various forums. I'm going to put it up on. Actually, hold on. Let me get the actual address to this thingy. Fix audio. What's wrong with the audio? Can you guys not hear me? You guys hearing me okay? You guys hearing me okay? Something wrong with the audio? All right, it's time to rock and roll. Sorry! Uh-oh. Rest in peace to RBG. Rest in peace to the big homie. Hold on, let me get this link. Two candidates. They're going to Wawa. A bold president. I don't know how bold a president is. All right, guys, hold on. Just stay with me. Stay with me. The president has caused lives and livelihoods. I don't think that that's a fair statement. Joe Biden is a Loch Ness monster in the swamp. That's so ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. He's a Loch Ness monster of the swamp. Okay. All right. And your dad is a saint, huh, Mr. Trump? Your dad's a saint? Joe Biden's a Loch Ness monster? Subhanallah. Oh, it's the most important election in the history of the country, is it? Don't they say that every year? It's the most important election in the history of the country. Fireside time. Hopefully Tina's in here. First debate. I need to call one of the kids and tell them to close this door. It is prime time, ladies and gents. It is prime freaking time. First presidential debate. Yes, we are. We are live. I'm calling my kids because one of them has to take care of this situation. Hey, come up here and get me some orange juice, por favor. All right. My head already hurts. Debate hasn't even started yet. Hold on, guys. I got a couple more places to put this. Did I put it in Middle America? Take care of my stuff first, Dorian. Okay, let's go to Patreon, let them know. And once that's done, then I am all yours, ladies and gents. How's everybody doing today? I expect a very lively debate. I expect some disagreement in our chat. Please try to keep the situation civil. And I'm saying that about myself as well as everybody else. If you see me being uncivil to somebody, then I am fair game to call out just like anybody else. So let's try to keep it civil and keep it in the family. Ya Rasulullah, please don't touch that. Don't touch that. Yeah, don't touch the camera. Would your mom need something?
Yeah, she's well for the baby.
Okay. Then you can come up and watch.
Oh, great.
Then you get a school credit for it, right?
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Is it a civics credit?
Yeah, you'll get a civics credit for school.
Perfect.
Well, I'm going to listen to the entire debate. I'm going to show it on here because, A, I don't really have the technology. This guy doesn't know he's on camera yet. Did you guys see that?
Good evening from the Health Education Campus of Case Western Reserve University.
A credit is school. He gets credit for his civics stuff because we homeschool the kids. What's up, Diego?
And former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format.
Guys, I am so thirsty. What's up, Diego?
With 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question.
All right.
And open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed.
Let me know if you guys can hear this.
For the record, I decided the topics.
Is this guy a Trump supporter? No, I do not support Trump. I don't support Biden either.
Or the two candidates. This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols.
$5 says Biden comes out wearing a mask.
Advisor to the commission for all four debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed the candidates
Biden
will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here.
The candidates will not shake hands. Why do we need to know that? Why is that important?
No boos and other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you, can focus on what the candidates have to say. No noise except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump.
There you go.
And the Democratic nominee,
That's as loud as I can get it, guys. Stay home 2020. All right, there's Trump doing his thing. There's Biden pumping his fists. How you doing, man? Here we go. Biden's on his gangster shit already. What's good, Trump?
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney
Same, Jacob, same.
To succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest...
Where's the lie, Bricktown?
...are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time. Even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court.
Trump's got bad posture, y'all.
We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student.
No, Hillary did not win the election, Bricktown. Sorry.
And
that's untrue.
We won the election.
She lost.
We have the right.
She lost.
And very few people knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats.
Yeah, I don't know why we're still talking about
it. If they had, the only difference is they try to do it faster. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't have the election, so they were stopped.
Well, we're putting it close so people can hear it.
Happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Same question to you, Vice President.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that.
Well, first of all,
what's up? Salam alaikum.
Doing this and looking forward to this, Mr. President. The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominates.
No, they don't.
And that say occurs when they vote for a United
No, they
States
don't.
senators.
Thank you, Matthew
and they
Hoyle.
vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already.
I look like a floating head.
Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is, because that's the only way
Ridiculous argument
to express their view is by who they elect.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, I've been
What's
robbed
at
sick.
stake here, the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that, he ran on that, and he's been governing on that.
Correct, Izzy.
He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance.
What does that have to do with the Supreme Court?
If it goes into court. And the justice, and I have nothing, I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing is,
okay, I see what you're saying.
And if it's struck down, what happens? Women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They were able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man gets. And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act.
Okay, somebody translate that to me. Izzy or somebody else translate that women being charged more for the same thing as a man. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just never heard of it before. What's he talking about?
To do this before this election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
It's elected to the next
during
election.
that period of time.
That's 4 years, Mr. Biden.
We have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years.
The
And 100
already
million people, Joe.
Election has
100
nothing to do with
million
it.
people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number.
Neither does he.
The problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well,
What's up, great old one?
Socialists, you're going to socialists.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare. And
Don't worry about it, Aria. Aria, they were talking about the Supreme Court thing, which is really a setup question because there's no way Biden can win because it's clear that Trump has a right to put that person in. So
They do. They will. On my proposal.
It's not what you said, and it's not what your party has said.
That is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your party
That is
wants to
simple.
go socialist
My
medicine
party is
and
me.
socialist
Right
healthcare.
now, I am.
What's up, Aguilar?
Thank you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform.
Whoa! I am the Democratic Party? I don't know about that, bro.
The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID.
My position is that they didn't have enough power to get Garland in. They blocked it.
Joe, you've had 308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk about.
And if you were here,
Look,
it
here's
wouldn't
the
be
deal.
200, it would be 2 million people because you were very late on the draw. You
Late
didn't
on
want me
the
to
draw.
ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban,
All right, gentlemen,
which was heavily
Mr. President,
You would have been
Mr.
much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr.
Much
President,
later.
Mr.
You're
President,
talking about 2 million people.
Mr. President, as a moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
Let me finish.
Trump is a far more effective debater, and so far, yeah.
Opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in
What
the
do you mean?
court. In the court. And so that's also at
You
stake.
can get a civics credit if you watch this debate, by the way.
You don't know it's on the ballot. Why is it in the ballot?
Because
Why is it
you
on the
said
ballot? It's not in the ballot.
it's on the ballot in the
I don't
court.
think so.
In the court. Well,
There's nothing happening there.
Donald,
And you don't know her view on Roe v. Wade.
I
You don't
don't
know her
know.
view.
Well, all right, let's talk.
Biden, he froze already. Biden just froze. This is not good. And I'm not going to enjoy that, by the way. And please keep the mockery of Biden's mental state to a somewhat respectable
in which the Trump
level.
administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last
Because they want to give good health care.
We just shot a video about this.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare.
What are you
You have
replacing it
never
with?
In these 4 years, come up with a plan.
Thank you.
a comprehensive
Finally, somebody from
plan
Fox
to
tells the
replace
freaking truth.
Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
What is it? What have you replaced Obamacare with?
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That is
big
not a
chunk of it.
comprehensive
That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris,
you're the
that was
way
the
to
worst
him,
part
not
of
me. Let me
Obamacare.
ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe.
I
The
know.
individual mandate was the most unpopular.
Let him ask the freaking question, Trump.
President, I'm the moderator of this debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question.
Thank you.
And you can answer.
Go ahead.
You, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare. And just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the
Wow.
Trump healthcare plan?
Kudos to the Fox guy.
First of all, I guess I'm
Chris
debating
Wallace?
you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something.
You're not surprised. Oh, you're the victim, Trump. Here we
I'm
go.
cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against big pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting.
Okay, he's right about
all
that.
the things that we've
He's
done.
right about that.
I give you an
But that's
example.
not comprehensive.
It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs that what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're gonna
Guys,
allow our
we literally in the
government
last 30 days have just
to buy
paid
drugs because they paid just a tiny
about
fraction.
$13,000 in the last 30 days in medical bills. $13,000.
I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare. And
Yes.
the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will, I can ask you the question, and it will
No, the
end.
party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of healthcare.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states.
Right, so that's not Medicare for all.
People who are poor, Medicaid. Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled.
Well,
in the
13K
public
isn't
option.
Trump changed to
The
me,
vast
bruh.
majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agree
two.
with Bernie
Number-
Sanders,
I-
he's
I-
far left on the manifesto, we
Well,
call it.
well,
And that
manifesto-
gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you
I'm
saying
not
you
going to
didn't
listen
agree?
to him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm
Not by
here
much.
standing facing you, buddy.
Pocahontas would have left
Oh,
2 days early. You would have lost every
All he
primary.
knows how to do is
Every primary.
Look, here's the deal. I got very lucky, and you're very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure because
With what?
here's the deal. Here's the deal.
Pocahontas.
The The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
But you
I just
agree.
want to
You're
make sure.
the liar.
I want to make sure.
You did last in your class, not first in your
I-
class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish?
Is
sir?
it in the
He
bed?
doesn't know how to do that.
Is it in the bed?
You'd be
You know,
surprised.
you
You'd be surprised.
The wrong guy, the wrong night, at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Maybe
Bernie
bad.
Sanders. The
whole idea-
Let him-
There is no manifesto. Number
Please let him
one.
speak, Mr.
Number
You
two.
just lost the left.
Number two.
You just lost the
You
left.
just lost the left.
You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan
Folks,
that's absolutely.
folks, do you have any idea what this clown's
socialized? They
doing?
call it
Mr.
you have any do?
socialized medicine.
Mr.
Well, I'll
President,
tell you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care. Because he in fact already has cost 10 million
He said
people
you
health
just
care
lost
that
the
they have
left.
for employers because of his recession. Number one. Number
Oh,
two,
yeah.
there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away.
That's true. That's true.
Now I say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give
Number
you better
three.
health care at a much lower price
But-
because
by the way, he
Obamacare-
You haven't shown us a comprehensive plan, Mr. President. You've done good things piecemeal, but you haven't come up with a comprehensive plan.
gentlemen, you realize if you're both speaking at the same time,
It's too
let the president, go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better. And I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions, but took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed that. They shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to people. Okay. I said, you got to run it so well. And I just had a meeting with them. They said, the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive.
I got you.
Premiums
I
are
got
too high, and it doesn't work.
That's
So
his people.
we do want to get rid of it.
It's
Chris,
an
we
open-
want to get rid of it.
I understand
and
it,
get
sir, but I have
something
to
cheaper
give you roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Who's endorsing Biden?
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive
Who's endorsing
orders.
Biden here? I don't know anybody that's endorsing
He's
Biden.
been promising a health
Hey
care
Brian, how you doing?
since he got elected. He has none. Like almost everything else he talks about, he does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right,
He's
I have
against.
one final question for you,
Sure.
Mr. Vice President.
No,
If
Grump.
Senate Republicans
Use some nuance in your thinking. Just because I criticize Biden or agree with Trump doesn't mean I'm endorsing one or the other.
confirm Justice Barrett.
Good Lord.
There has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there.
Ridiculous.
You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues
Correct.
in
I'm saying-
the Congress.
Correct.
So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now.
Dodging the
Let
question.
senators know how strong
An
you
obvious
are.
dodge of the question.
Vote now.
You're gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're
to answer the
senators.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why wouldn't you
because,
answer that
because
question?
the question.
I'm gonna write in Bernie, Grump.
The radical left.
Will you
Who
shut
is
up,
on,
man?
listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so,
list?
Gentlemen,
this is-
I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's gonna
unprecedented.
back the court.
We have
I'm not gonna give a
We
list.
have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it? Keep yapping,
The
man.
people understand, Joe.
They should.
47 years, you've done nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject.
Yikes.
So let's try to
Yikes.
be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus.
Definitely Matthew
in the
Hoyle,
United
2
States, and
teenagers.
more than 200,000
But Biden completely
people
dodged the Supreme
have
Court
died.
thing.
Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come
Oh,
back.
Biden has done something in his 47 years. He's gone after my folks with busing. He passed a crime bill. He's done some shit, believe you me.
And done so far, and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States.
See, you put him to
We,
bed?
in fact, have
Whose idea was
5%,
that?
4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He
Why don't you
knew
sit
it
here
was
until
a
Mom
deadly
comes?
disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan.
Well,
I laid out back in March exactly what we should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed.
Xi, it's Xi, the Chinese prime minister.
They need to keep their businesses open. Open schools. It costs a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
so if we would have listened
Wait,
to
you
you,
have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000.
He's right.
One person is too much. It's
You criticized
China's fault.
him
It should have never happened.
for shutting
They
down
stopped
China
it from
travel.
going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you
He's right.
understand. But if
That's
you
true.
look at what we've done,
If you believe anything the
he's
Chinese say.
xenophobic. He's a racist and he's xenophobic.
It's true.
Because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
That's not unrelated to
Because you thought it was
shutting down travel from China is unrelated to COVID. Are you hearing this shit? No. I'm positive.
Many of you Democrat governors said President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators.
Let's go this way,
made
so you
ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because that's the way it is.
Bricktown, Ilhan Omar gave him kudos for how he handled
But I'll tell you,
COVID.
Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get.
You said banning China travel was irrelevant to COVID.
You
said you don't have it in your blood, you couldn't have done that job.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was no
very-
economic
Sir,
recession.
you made a
There was no recession.
You made a point. Let him answer.
And there was we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy.
Yeah,
He's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look.
He shut down the economy to save people's lives, Joe, which you were just criticizing him for.
Table because someone died of COVID. How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't
Terrible
even speak
argument.
to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say
You
goodbye.
would have lost far
How
more
many
people.
people?
Far
That is-
more
I believe
people.
that. I believe you'd have lost
By
more
the
people.
way, his own CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he told him, he said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers. Just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, We're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all. Nor do you. I know you don't. But we trust as a scientist.
You don't
we
trust Johnson, Pfizer?
And by the way, and then,
let me
Yeah, like it's not like Trump is like making the vaccine, Joe. What do you mean Americans don't trust him with the vaccine?
I think his earpiece is cutting out.
Either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own guidelines. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slawi, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing.
That's true.
I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to.
It's true. You guys didn't want an Afghanistan pullout there, Joe.
They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call them
you're
left, I don't know what I call
the
them.
head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slawi?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available.
Because he said it's a possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also be after
when it's
that.
generally available.
Well, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day. They're going to be
this is the same man.
It's all set up.
By Easter, this would be gone away.
It's
By the
true.
warm weather, it'd be gone.
You said hopefully, basically, like a miracle. You did say that, Trump. He did say that.
This is the
That
same
was
man.
said sarcastic.
That was-
You know that.
I
I would have said
And
sarcastic.
so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we
Mr.
will.
Vice President, I want to pick up
You'll have the vaccine soon.
I want to pick up on this question, though. You say the public can trust the scientists, but they can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out. He puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying you can't,
Everybody knows.
Senator Harris is saying
No.
you can't trust the scientists.
No. You can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can trust.
She said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be
Yes.
suppressed.
Well, that's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists. There's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not. They're the people. And by the way,
to the scientists that are in charge,
by the way,
they will have the vaccine very soon.
do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID?
You're a damn liar, Joe. You said you graduated first in your class. You were last. You had to drop out because you plagiarized people's shit. Like, what are you talking about?
He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market. One of the two, because guess
We
what?
looked at your
A lot of
teleprompter.
people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot
Sir,
smarter.
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe. 47 years you've done
Well,
that.
let's have this debate.
And if you would have had, let me just say something,
Yo,
Joe. If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
You see,
And
We're
it's
going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled
Damn.
so far,
Damn.
you have taken very different approaches.
This is like the lunchroom at school.
The virus is handled going
It's
forward.
like the lunchroom
by
at school.
Whichever of you ends up becoming the next
Good
president.
Lord.
I want to quickly go through several of those.
Did you say smart?
Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools.
Man,
Why so?
he's a
Because
savage.
he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I
Liar.
would have what the plan
No,
is.
Trump.
You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to
Tell
provide
that to
them
Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Then, well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to
Yeah,
Nancy
no.
Pelosi. And
And
Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy
Brian
Pelosi and
Chuck.
Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with the
Okay.
Senate, and he sits at his golf course. And well, I mean,
Uh,
literally,
okay.
think about it.
You probably
All right,
play
think
more
about
than
it.
I do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact?
Well, he wants to shut down this country,
Oh.
and I want to keep it open. And we did a great
He
thing
just
by
admitted
shutting
he
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute, Joe. Let me shut you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. We want him. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable.
We've known
We
that
learned
from
a
the
lot.
beginning.
Young children aren't.
That's why
Even
Italy was
younger
getting
people
killed
aren't.
because
We
their
learned a lot.
constituency
But he
were
wants to
much
shut it
older.
down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election
Oh,
on
yeah.
November 3rd.
I believe that.
It's a political
to another
But those,
subject.
but those states,
Gentlemen,
those states
I wanna move on to
are
another
not
subject.
doing well. That is-
Stephen.
President Trump, you have begun to increasingly
Stephen, I gotta get you on the song.
of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you
Yeah.
questioning
No, I think
the
masks are
efficacy of
okay. You have to
masks?
understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on it, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say
Vice
this.
President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money. The
But I was
Congress.
asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own.
He forgot the
CDC said
question.
If we just wore masks between now,
Teleprompter.
if everybody wore masks and social
He forgot the
distancing between now
he
and
forgot the
January,
question.
we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives.
No, he forgot to
It
tell us
matters.
how
And they've
to
also
move to the
said
next
the
slide.
opposite. They've
And
also said
no serious person said the opposite.
They've
No
also said, well,
serious.
Dr. Fauci said the
He did
opposite.
not say the
we
opposite.
got
said
a
very
little
strongly,
a minute left in this
Masks
segment.
are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks good. I'm okay with masks.
I
I'm
want to
not
ask you
fighting
both about
masks.
one last subject because your
Biden went to the
business
economy
practices,
when the
even
question was
affected the way
about
that you
masks,
have
as he didn't get the
President
question.
Trump, you're
Hold
holding
on.
large rallies with crowds packed
That's what you
together,
were saying.
thousands
Yeah,
of people
he did.
outside. Yes, sir. Agreed.
Well, how did Herman
President
Cain die,
Biden,
Trump?
You are holding much smaller events.
How did Herman Cain die, Trump?
People with
Biden, bring up Herman Cain.
All right. In any case,
It's
why
fair.
are you holding the big rallies?
It's
Why
low,
you
but it's
not?
fair.
You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you
we're
not
doing a
worried
great
about it
job
spreading
as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you
for
not worried
hangars, and
about
we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issue,
people.
sir?
Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
Oh my God! They just
Oh my
That's not the point, though.
He has, and a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, "No, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested?" I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative
To
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
Herman
No
Cain.
negative effect. And we've had
Biden.
40,000.
Yeah.
Say Herman Cain.
Just quickly finish up because I want to move on to
Biden, say Herman Cain.
He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks. Basically, encourage them not to.
All right.
And he's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the
Yeah, you were the one that told people to go to the polls, though, Biden,
Yeah.
if they were
I
asymptomatic.
think it's fair to say recovering faster than expected from the shutdown
Much faster.
in the second quarter. The unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going
Rich,
to be nearly as big as
how do you not have that up there?
President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference
A
does
K-shape.
that mean?
What's
to
a V-shape?
the
A V-shape
American
is
people in
it
terms
was
of the
up, then
economy?
down, then
President
back
Trump,
up
this
again.
segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China
If we have a
threat.
moderator in here,
We
please
closed
get
it
Human
down, which
Talks
was very
out.
hard psychologically to do. He
Thank
didn't
you.
think we should close it down.
Thank you, Amy Lee. Just ban him.
Again,
Ban
2
him
million
forever.
People would be dead now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is
I
we closed
absolutely
it down,
blame
and now
China.
we're
That was
reopening, and we're
absolutely
doing
China for
record
that.
business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's
MDef
ever
fan,
seen
what's up?
before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening in
that's-
some of your Democrat
that's
run
valid.
states where they have these tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you,
That's
it's
true.
because they don't
That's
want to open
valid.
it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us
Wow.
by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look
Really,
at
Matthew?
North Carolina, when you look, and these governors are
Okay,
overseas.
that's good.
Pennsylvania, Michigan.
I know the deal I
Pennsylvania,
just closed. We're
you gotta
hiring
open
like
these states up.
700 people in
It's
the
not
next
fair. You're talking
2
about
months.
almost, it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce. Look at what's going on with alcoholism and
This is
drugs.
a good
It's
argument.
A very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country.
This is a
He'll
good
close
argument.
down the whole country and destroy our country.
He's right
Our
here.
country is coming back.
There's got to be a
incredibly well,
balance.
setting
Okay,
records
Biden,
as
talk
it does
about
it. We
balance.
don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it
Acknowledge that that's a
Your 2
logistical
minutes,
concern,
sir.
and then
We're
talk
now
about
moving to you.
balance.
As I said,
What's up, Brian?
The president
What's up,
says it's a
Jay?
V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis
Oh,
have done very well. Another
Billionaires?
billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax.
Muhammad,
Doran.
Slam left.
And she's gonna have a good time with
But you
it.
folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no, sir, it's
It's
just
the wrong state.
I understand.
Now you're talking about his taxes. I don't care about the taxes.
The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president.
That's because of
Than
COVID.
when he became president. First one in American history.
That's-
Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines. Those people who have been saving our lives. Those people who
Wait,
went
you
out
mean
there dying.
When he got them out of
People who were putting
Afghanistan?
themselves in a way
Those
to make
people?
sure
Correct.
that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools, why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give
Why are
this
schools
administration
open? 'Cause it
the
costs a
teachers
lot of
and
money to
school
open them
students
safely?
masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're
PPP?
1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American
PPP
people
didn't
so
help
they
small
can
businesses? What are you
open
talking
Your
about?
time is up, sir. We are going to get to
I have to respond to that.
What is he
You
talking
both
about?
have 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
So did you.
People want their schools. No, people want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their restaurants. I look at New York. It's so sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their
Yes,
life.
Omega.
They'll be careful, but they want their schools open.
Okay.
I'm the one that brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
All right,
people of Ohio are very proud of me. And
Laugh all you want, Joe. People love their football. Say what you want, but trust me, I'm in that subculture. That's important to those people.
As you well know, there's a new report that in 2016, the year you were elected president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of income tax. And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers. I paid $38 million 1 year. I paid $27 million.
Show us your tax returns.
I went.
She's over there.
As soon as
People
it's
asking
finished,
for you.
you'll see it. You know, if you want to do, go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under leveraged because the assets are extremely good, and I built a
I'm
great
asking you
company.
a specific question, which is.
Let me tell you.
I understand all of that. I understand all that. No, Mr. President, I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and
Why is this
2017?
relevant?
Millions of dollars.
750.
You paid millions
It's
of
not.
dollars.
It's completely irrelevant.
Not 750.
Millions of dollars, and you'll get to see it. And you'll get to see it. But let me just tell you, Chris, let me just say something, that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax. Before I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private
Correct.
person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that
Correct.
gives us all these privileges for depreciation,
Correct.
for tax credits.
He's
We
right.
build the building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania.
Correct.
You get a massive-
You and Hillary passed all that shit.
By the Obama administration.
Correct. He's right.
Now the man got fired right after that happened.
President Biden want to respond?
He's
I
right.
do want to respond. Look, the tax code that made him, that put him in a position that he pays less tax than a school teacher make on the money a school teacher makes is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code.
He
He
is.
does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm
So?
going to eliminate the Trump tax.
You passed it. You and your.
Okay?
Oh my
And make
God.
sure that we invest in the people who, in fact, need the help.
You've been in for 47 years, fam.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25
Right.
years?
Right.
You were
Why didn't you do it over
because you are president screwing things up.
You were
What? So I didn't.
Okay.
In 47 months, I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing,
Okay.
including fixing the broken military that you gave me, including taking care
We're
of your
talking,
vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans.
Nah, you lost on that one, Biden.
Because, Mr. Vice
You
President,
lost on that one, bro.
You lost.
if you were to be elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to
You and
focus
Hillary
on the
and
taxes.
Obama passed all
You
those loopholes for him. What the hell are you talking
$4
about?
billion over a decade in new taxes on individuals.
This is
making
unbelievable.
Oh, I know.
And I didn't pass it because you weren't president at the
You
time.
weren't president screwing things up, I think he said.
So I allowed that shit to happen because you weren't the president. But now because you're the president, I'm going to kill these loopholes. Are you serious?
Done by Wall Street firms. Points out that
What
my
the
economic
hell
plan
did you just
creates
say?
7 million jobs in his 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth. Buying America. But we're going to make
He said, hey, literally, he said, he
This
allowed,
man's ridiculous.
he allowed the tax loophole, but then because Trump became president. He wants to change.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate significant numbers of tax.
What a comeback, Biden. I can't believe this. I can't breathe. Dorian and Johan argue more intelligently than the next president of the country.
Your free market approach.
Oh, my God.
Deregulation, correct?
Not lower tax for American people.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming, it turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery. Also, they took over something that was down here. All you had to do is turn on.
You notice how Trump doesn't look at? You know, Trump doesn't look at notes.
Since 1920.
He's got all. He's got it all in
Yeah.
there. Look at Biden every time he answers.
Yeah.
It also means 401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty of companies that are already here, they'll leave for other places. They will leave, and you will have a depression, the likes
He's
of
right.
which you've never seen.
I've been in those meetings. He's right. He's telling the truth.
Worst recession,
Who, Trump or Biden?
Biden definitely looks like a vampire elder.
We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him
He's
a
mad
booming
pale.
economy.
Especially juxtaposed against Trump's orangeness.
It wasn't booming. It was the weakest recovery
Is it
since
fair to, wait, is it fair
1920.
to, is it fair to say he blew it when, in
When
fact, it was
COVID came.
when there was record low unemployment
Yeah.
before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole.
Excuse
Number
me,
one.
Chris. Wait,
Number two.
Chris.
Number three.
They said it would take. No, you're number two.
No,
Chris. They said it would
This
take
guy.
a miracle to bring back
He was on number
manufacturing.
two.
I
He was.
brought back 700,000 jobs. They
It's true.
brought back nothing.
Obama
They gave
laughed
up
at
on
him. He's right about that.
manufacturing.
He's laughed at him about the GDP
I'm the
too.
guy that
He
brought
totally
back
gave up on
All
manufacturing.
right, let him
We brought back, I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, they're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last
He
year.
has a hard time when he
Michigan
cuts
had the
him off.
best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in from Germany, from Japan. went to
His iPad. He
Michigan,
keeps looking down at his iPad.
And they didn't come in
Wait,
again.
Mr. Vice President.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit.
China
He's the only one that stood up to China.
100%. And China ate your lunch, Joe. And no wonder your son goes in and takes out billions of dollars,
He's right.
of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also, while we're at it, why is it, just out of curiosity,
It is true. What are you
the
talking about?
mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million.
That's
What
not
did he
true.
do to deserve it?
That
What
is-
did he do with Barista
None
to
of that.
deserve $183,000?
None
You
of
asked a
that is
question
true.
and an answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He didn't
Totally-
get
No,
$3.5 million?
Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally,
President, please.
totally
ask the question.
discredited. Totally
President,
discredited.
please.
And by the way,
Well, wait, he didn't get
No,
$3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
He got
Mr.
$3.5 million.
President,
it is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr. President.
He doesn't know what to do. You did get the $3.5 million.
Well,
There's
you
no
have raised an issue, let the Vice President answer.
discredited.
Did
There was a
Barista pay
report.
$183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr.
Look,
President,
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr.
The only
President,
guy that
let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thoroughly
By
discredited.
who?
And you
The media.
by everybody. Well, by the
By the
media,
media.
by our
Because
allies,
everything's
by the
talking about
World
it.
Bank.
I've got it right here. It's a $3.5 million
Everyone has discredited.
transfer.
Matter Matter of fact,
Mr.
even the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to you.
People under,
He lied. You're lying. There's an article right there. $3.5 million.
My job, and I did it very well. I did it under
who they are.
well, I'll give you the list of the people who testified.
No, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people don't.
Well, here's it.
With you.
Go ahead, wait a minute, you get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey, let me just say,
No, Mr. President.
$3.5
Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
That is simply.
Why did he
not true.
deserve $3.5 million from us?
He absolutely got $3.5 million. He did.
Families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we can talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family
already
lost a fortune by coming down and helping us with government.
And that's such a.
right here.
Mr.
That's
President.
Every single one of them lost.
This is not about my family or his family. It's about your family. The American people.
$3.5 million.
He doesn't. That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people.
You brought up China,
That's what we're talking.
and your son
about here.
has been getting millions from China. That is absolutely relevant.
Can I be honest? It's a-
Williams, I agree with you.
No, the answer to the question is no.
Ukraine,
No, sir.
with $1 billion, if you
That is
You know what, you're
absolutely not
Stop.
true.
Yes, it is.
Gosh.
You threatened. Yes, you did. Oh my God.
Why should that be different than the two of you? So here's the deal.
Good point.
We have 6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next.
Wow,
segment. In that
Biden.
segment, you each are going to have.
This is how they prepared him. They said, "Look, they're going to go after the $3.5 million." Okay.
Just say it didn't
Newsweek reported it. The Times reported it. Everybody reported it. Just denied. Just say it didn't happen.
Can you pass
But
that?
I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with
It's not-
fewer interruptions.
I think
I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Not on the desk.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more
Oh,
interrupting.
that's
than
all
he
right, but he does plenty.
has. Well, less than. Sir, less
Stop
than-
arguing with the moderator, Trump.
I know.
Come on, man.
Please continue on.
Comport yourself with
The
some
issue
dignity.
is, Vice President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for Black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My question for the two of you is, why should
Deaf fan, that's because Trump keeps interrupting. You know that. He's dominating the discussion. You know that.
Vice President Biden.
Come on, Deaf fan.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency.
Now, I
It's
guarantee you
about
Trump's going to bring up the
Constitution.
crime bill. I guarantee
We've
you.
never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But
Oh, like when you said you didn't want your kid to inherit a racial jungle?
like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches.
The fields?
Veins bulging, spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president's ever said anything like that.
It is who's
Now,
who
second-
in it, sir.
Second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military to use tear gas on
True.
him so he could walk across
did do that
to a
shit.
church and hold up a Bible.
Upside
And
down.
then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing.
This is the crime bill guy.
Look at what he's
This is
talked
the
about.
racial
You have to
jungle
look at
guy.
what he did.
This guy right here. And he refused to walk it back either.
So
Wow.
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans
Unbelievable.
trust you over your opponent to deal with
He
racism?
did a crime bill,
Called it.
1994,
Called it.
where you call them super predators,
Correct.
African American super predators.
Correct.
And they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it.
We haven't.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African
Correct.
American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the
100%.
19 And that's why, if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time.
It's true.
Because they saw what you did. You
It's true.
call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that. Because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders
Facts.
and generals. Total
Facts.
support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United
Unbelievable.
States. I have Florida, I have Texas, I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say the word law enforcement, because if you say those words, you're going to lose all of your radical left supporters. And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day and they put up their hands and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40 cities are run by Democrats and in many cases radical left, and they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right. I want to return to the question of
Look
race.
at Biden's face.
Vice President Biden, after the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system?
The guy who authored the crime bill.
Yes, there's systemic injustice in this country.
Look at him reading from his iPad.
And in law enforcement and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out.
Facts, Finito. Facts, Finito.
They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call a
racist has to be held accountable.
No, Ben. He refuses to repudiate said racist things, Ben.
We're going to work this out. So
he called him on. He got called on it on multiple occasions, Ben, by his own vice presidential candidate, and he refused to apologize for it. He has not grown. He's still a racist bastard. You don't give a shit about Breonna Taylor.
But we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right.
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of town and burn down your stores and kill people all over the place?
That
You
is
say
not
peaceful
peaceful
protest. No,
protest.
it's not, but you say it is.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the issue of race. I promise we're going to get to the issue of law and order in a moment.
Unbelievable.
This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane. That it
A lot of people were complaining.
A revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place. You know it, and so does everybody else. And he would know.
What is radical
totally
about racial sensitivity training?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people, we would pay people hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and frankly, very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We have to go back to the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place, it's a racist place, and they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more about this.
Let him finish it.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them.
You being the Democratic candidate is insulting to me.
Don't want to hurt other people's
Yeah.
And then Kamala, very insulting to me.
It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot
So
do.
why did you
M.
pass the
Death
crime
fan, I'm
bill?
not even going to ask you how much critical race theorists you've actually read because I already know the answer.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama
Ridiculous.
Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at
There's lots of division now, Mr. Trump.
You go to very many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
But the
Lord.
reason
This
is that the Democrats that run these cities don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
You
crime.
still haven't mentioned.
Violent
Are you
crime.
in favor of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow.
Are you in
it, and a
favor
little
of
bit
law and order? Come on,
Yes,
say
I'm
it.
in
You asked a question, let him finish.
Law and order.
Loses
Law and order.
Let him.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly.
So-
And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 7.
They're talking about being held responsible, but then let the crime bill never happen.
Correct.
On his watch.
Went down much more.
He didn't even respond to the crime bill. You notice that? Didn't even respond to the crime bill
And then he's
issue.
talking about being held responsible.
Mr. President, you're going to be very happy because we're now going to talk about law and order.
Places we had trouble with Democratic-run cities.
That's
exactly
true.
my question. There has
He's
been a
right.
dramatic increase in homicides
He's right.
in America.
Every place where the Democrats are running the show.
And you often blame that on
It's
Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact, there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples, but if you look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%. Crime. It is
That's because
crazy
the
what's going
police
on. And he
are
doesn't
basically
say
saying
law
we're not
because
going to
he
do our
can't,
job.
because he'll lose his
But they're still
radical
collecting the
supporters.
check, though.
And once he does that,
Why?
it's
Is it because of
over.
COVID?
If he ever
No,
got to
because
run
the
this country,
police
and they ran
fraternity,
the way
their
he
feelings
wanted
are
to
hurt that
run,
America is turning against them.
suburbs would be gone.
It's ridiculous.
By the way,
I
our
see.
suburbs would be gone, and you would see problems like
He
you never
wouldn't
see.
know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know
He
suburbs.
would not.
So much
I was
better.
raised.
Go ahead, wait a minute.
I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism don't work anymore.
Thanks, Felix.
Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat
That's our
to
family,
the
actually.
suburbs and their safety is
Black,
his
white, and
failure to deal
Hispanic.
with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to
His
talk about
refusal
this
to do
issue of
anything.
law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what is reimagining policing?
This is actually a good
And do you
opportunity, Biden.
support-
Biden could really knock it out of the park here.
If I may finish the
He
question.
really
What
can
does
knock it out of the
reimagining
park here.
policing mean? And do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
Look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police officers. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding in his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to put people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what they're talking about, Chris. That's not what they're talking about. He's talking about defunding the police.
That is not true.
Trump is laughing at him.
Any law.
Trump is laughing.
No law enforcement.
That's not true.
Almost. Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go ahead. Think. We have time. We don't
Clip
have
up the
time.
crew.
No, think about it. Name one law enforcement group that came out and supported
Gentlemen, I'm going to take back the moderator's
I don't think
role,
there are any.
and I want to get to another subject,
Yikes.
which is
Oh
the
my
issue of
gosh.
protests.
Trump is such a gangster. He just hey, we have time. Tell me one group that supports you.
Many of those turned into riots.
That's right, Anna.
You say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is
He
as
just
the
body
Democratic
bagged him.
nominee, and earlier tonight
La
you said
ilaha
that you
illallah.
are the Democratic Party right now. Have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic
Facts, M.
governor
Death,
of
yeah.
Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you'd stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now. I am a former vice president. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements
not a good answer.
that the violence should be prosecuted.
Well,
It
what
should
else
be
can you
prosecuted.
say?
And anyone who commits it
But
should
you've
be
never
prosecuted.
called for the people, the leader, excuse me, sir.
That's not
But
the
he's
question.
not in
Never
public
called
office,
for
so
the
he-
leaders in Portland.
He never
and
called for
in
them
Oregon
to stop the
bring
nonsense.
in the
He
National
was
Guard
downstairs
and
in his
not
basement.
100 days of riots.
They
He didn't
can,
say
in
anything.
fact,
He didn't
take
lead
care
in
of it
this
if you
at
just
all. He
stay
was
out
in
of
his
the way.
basement.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Here's what he
I
told
said,
us.
look,
Really?
March to get the killer of a young man in the middle of the street, and they shot him. And for 3
Yes,
days,
President Trump,
Portland
President
wouldn't do
Trump,
anything. I had to send in the U.S. Marshals. They
President
took
Trump.
care of business.
Go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his
Retribution.
own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help us cause. That's what this is all
I
about.
don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said.
She said that.
I don't
And so here's the point.
I'm gonna fact check that shit. You just lied. You just made that shit up, man.
I think-
He's about to say, I think it was, and then he.
I think always says
Talking to
that.
people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly at every single solitary.
Okay,
time.
and
Oh, no.
Not this segment. I'm going to give you.
She did say it August 27th. Kellyanne Conway says chaos and violence after the police shooting of Jacob Blake is good for Trump's reelection.
Oh my gosh.
I would love to.
If you want to switch seats,
There it is.
we can very quickly.
It's right there, guys. She did say it.
Would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
Or at least Business Insider said it.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing
Right.
extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists
Here's the
and
quote.
militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland? Are you
I'm willing
prepared
to
to
do that.
specifically do it?
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right
So
wing.
what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it, do it, say it.
You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go ahead.
supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
supremacists and white
Proud Boys,
supremacists.
stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left.
FBI director.
This
said,
is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. That's what
That's- I don't-
Yeah.
I don't care what the FBI said. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
I agree.
Islamic terrorism is an idea, not an organization, but it manifests with organizations. That's a dumb argument.
Administration tells you the truth is a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no idea.
Antifa is a dangerous
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump
You
and
better
Biden
be careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a referendum on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent in this segment? President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with Hillary Clinton, where it was a whole big con job. But despite going through all of these things, where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an administration that's done what I've done. The greatest, before COVID came in, the greatest economy in history, lowest unemployment numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me for the first time in years. They were calling and they were saying, it's time maybe. And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again. A rebuilding of the military, including Space Force and all of the other things. A fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. He was a mess. And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care of our vets. But we've rebuilt our military. The job that we've done, and I'll tell you something, some people say maybe the most important. By the end of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300, and hopefully 3 great Supreme Court justices. That is a record, the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so many judges, because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to fill. When you leave office, you don't leave any judges. That's like, you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy.
Ben, I am against fascism, but Antifa has a different understanding and organizing principle. And Ben, that's like saying, do you believe in Allah and that Muhammad is his prophet? That automatically means you're Al-Qaeda. Stop it. Antifa are a group of people. They organize, they march, they destroy people's property. They go and violate the physical integrity of other American citizens who don't agree with them. Stop it, Ben. They're an organization.
Sicker,
period.
Poor, more divided, and more violent.
Ridiculous.
When I was vice president, we inherited.
How are these people showing up at the same time, marching in the same direction, saying the same slogans and attacking the same people? All that shit just happened randomly? There's no organizing principle. They just all showed up at the same time, doing the same shit, saying the same shit. Just randomly. There's no organizing principle. Stop it. Ridiculous.
And by the way, Mr. President,
ridiculous.
Your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2.
Not every Muslim belongs to Al-Qaeda, and not every person who's against fascism is Antifa. Otherwise, you don't need to call it Antifa in the first fucking place. Ridiculous. I don't even know. Well, I do know why they want to. I've got experience with groups of people who do that. It's just called decentralization. That's all it is. It's a common tactic of people when they want to organize. We do it in other countries. Trust me. It's an idea. It's not an organization.
When we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided.
It's not comparable anyway.
And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being
he shouldn't have done that.
Suckers.
Well, I don't know if he said that or not.
Was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service.
Now a device.
He was not a loser. He was a patriot.
He said the guy was a loser because he got caught.
We're heroes.
Well, he said that McCain was a
loser. I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It
For
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use. And he didn't have a job until you became vice president. And once you
None
became
of that
vice
is
That's
president,
not true.
he made
It's
a
all
fortune
true.
In Ukraine, in China, in Moscow.
He got thrown out for
and
cocaine?
various other
Well, his
places.
brother died.
My son-
I think it's very low for Trump to bring that up.
My son-
But you brought your son up in it. You used your son as a political tool, and then Trump went lower than you.
He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he
I'm proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right,
dollars?
he wasn't given tens of millions of dollars.
Yes, he was.
President totally,
You've already been
totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a
I know, but
judgment
when
call
somebody
here.
I don't have a problem with nepotism.
Right.
Cal, I don't have a problem with nepotism, but I'll tell you what, there's no way in the world I'm going to send my kids or sending my kids to a government that we're supposed to be working with and a government that we're rivals with, like China, to collect $3.5 million or whatever it is he collected from China. What the hell are you talking about?
Millions of acres. They have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris.
Why does Trump think he can disagree with scientists? I don't understand that.
Records. What do you believe about the science of climate change, and what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
How could you
I
think?
want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful clean air. We have now the lowest carbon. If you look at our numbers right now, we are doing phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to everything else. The forest floors are loaded up with trees, dead trees that are years old, and they're like tinder, and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've got to have forest management.
What do you believe about the science of climate change, sir?
I believe.
I don't know
we
enough
have to
about
do
that, but
everything
I don't
we
know.
can
That
to
might be an
have
issue.
Immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can that's good. You know, we're planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very exciting.
Wow. That human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of the
I think a
planet?
lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. But I also think we have to do.
What are you smiling at,
of our
Biden?
forests. Every year, I get the call. California's burning.
I know.
California's burning.
It's true. It happens
If
every
that
year.
was cleaned, if you had forest management, good forest management, you wouldn't be getting those calls. You know, in Europe, they live their forest cities. They're called forest cities. They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the head of a major country. It's a forest city. He said, sir, we have trees that are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it. I'm getting along very well with the governor. But I said, you know, at some point, you can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground. So that's burning down because of a lack of
But
management.
sir, if you believe in
Yeah.
the science of
That
climate
sounds right.
change, why have you rolled back the Obama Clean Power Plan, which limited carbon emissions in power plants? Why have you relaxed?
Because it was driving energy prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards that are going to create more pollution from cars?
Well,
and
not
trucks?
really, because what's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a much safer car. And you're talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen, because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old. If you did that, the car would be safer. It would be much cheaper by
But in the case of
$3,500.
California, they've simply
No, but it
ignored
would take a lot of cars
rollback.
off the market because people would be able to afford a car. Now, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me, many people. The car has gotten so expensive because they have computers all over the place for an extra little bit of gasoline. And I'm okay with electric cars too. I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars.
You know what he said about forest management? I'm going to have to look into that. That's a very intelligent response.
I'd like you to respond to the president's climate change record, but I also want to ask you about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not
I mean,
abolishing.
I don't
new
know,
limits on
but
fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity by 2035.
hey, little Faye Witch, what's up?
Net emission of greenhouse gases by 2050.
Does anybody know anything about this forest management stuff and the correlation between that and forest fires?
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put
Zonia.
charging stations and all
partly accurate.
We're going to build.
Are we looking at 10% accurate, Zonia? 60% accurate or 80% accurate?
Buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now to create thousands and thousands of jobs. We can get to net zero in terms of energy production by 2035. Not only not costing people jobs, creating millions of good paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage, by having a new infrastructure that in fact is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord.
I don't care about the Paris Accord.
Look what's
I
happening.
don't care about the Paris Accord.
Falling apart. And
what's falling apart?
Has no relationship with foreign policy. Brazil, the rainforests of Brazil are being torn down, are being ripped down. More carbon is absorbed in that rainforest than every bit of carbon that's emitted in the United States. Instead of doing something about that, I would be gathering up and making sure we had the countries of the world coming up with $20 billion. Say, here's $20 billion. Stop tearing down the forest. And if you don't, then you're going to have significant economic consequences.
What about the argument that President Trump basically says that you have to balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line?
Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, he wants to make sure that methane is not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is a guy who says that, well, the fact that it's all true.
And you're talking about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
I'm talking about.
That can't be right. That cannot be right. That can't be right.
Where airplanes are out of business, where two-car systems are out, where they want to take out the cows. That's not true either, right?
He did.
That's more money than our country could make in 100 years.
No, they've touted the 93 trillion or the 100 trillion.
Your plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings, weatherizing 2 million homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy efficient homes. So the question becomes, the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that
holy moly,
like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions.
The figure's not wrong, but it's incomplete. 93 trillion. Holy hell.
The fact is, it's going to create millions of good paying jobs. And
millions of jobs
for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes, by the way.
Counting, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not selling anybody anything here.
That's what he did say. Made it up. And here's the deal. We are going to be
in a position
where we can create
you steady lying, Biden.
Hard, good jobs by making sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happening just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. They didn't happen before. They're because of global warming.
We never had storms
15%
before. What are you
of the
talking
world
about?
We,
What
in
is he
fact,
talking about?
and the rest of the world, we got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
Yeah, is China going to listen to us because we were in the Paris Peace Accords?
Years. You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air.
I just said China. I just said, did I just say China?
Supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not my plan.
That's
the Green
well.
New
Want to
Deal
rebuild every
is not
building.
my plan.
I want to rebuild
All right,
every
you
You said that it was.
If you know
He
anything
made a
about
statement
Canada,
about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
that is
What
not
he
true.
did is he
You got
said
in a segment.
he called
Mr.
the military
Vice President.
stupid bastards.
I
He
did
said
not
it on
say
tape. He
Mr.
said stupid
please,
bastards.
not
Sir,
Stop.
I would never
I
say
would
that.
play it.
You said that McCain
Yeah.
was a loser because he got captured.
Final question.
Stop
The
it.
final question is, I can't remember which of all those rants.
I'm having a little trouble myself, but
$93 trillion is a Green New Deal. So Trump was right about that.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your environmental change will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. You're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
Do you
You're going to
support
build
the Green New
A
Deal?
great polluting
Pardon?
plants.
You support that?
No, I don't support the Green
Oh,
New
you
Deal.
don't? Oh, well, that's a big statement.
I
What
support
you
the
just
Biden.
is the radical left.
I support
You
the
don't?
Biden
You're
plan
done.
that I put forward.
You're
The
done.
Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the radical Green New Deal.
All right, gentlemen, final segment. Election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving mail-in ballots or going to vote early.
It's 93 million.
Should we be that this will be a fair election? And what are you prepared to do
Holy moly.
over the next 5
Sorry, 93
plus
trillion.
weeks? Because it'll not only be to election day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after election day. What
There
are you
goes your support
prepared
from
to do to
AOC.
ensure
Oh
the
my
American
God, this is a
people that the
disaster.
next president will be the legitimate winner of this election. In this final segment, Mr. Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote, you should go to iwillvote.com. Decide how they're going to vote, when they're
Iowa.
gonna vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security Director, and as well as the FBI Director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that. The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the
that
polls
Trump?
stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to
see this thing
scare
with Trump
people
and the
into
kid?
thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you, because he cannot stop you from being able
Yeah,
to
but
determine
I
the
can't put
outcome of
this
this
to the
election.
screen.
And in terms of
I
whether
would,
or not,
though.
when the votes are counted and they're all
I would mail
counted,
in my pizza.
that will be accepted. If I win, that
Well,
will be accepted. If I lose, they'll be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen. So vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change, or you get 4 more years of these lies?
Mr.
Laying this
President,
on.
2 minutes.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people, there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign.
It's true.
Started from the day I won.
They
and
did.
even before I won. From the day I came down the escalator with our first lady, they were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country. And we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape. We've caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn. You better take a look at that, because we caught you in a sense, and President Obama was sitting in the office. He knew about it too. So don't tell me about a free transition. As far as the
Whoa, whoa. He is right. He is right. All this panicking, oh, transition of government. These people deployed the freaking FBI and other alphabet groups to go after this guy. It's true. They told the truth.
That's true, yeah.
And the impeachment was all bullshit. And we know it's all bullshit. Don't you say that word.
They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see who won the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done. But you know what? We won't know. We might not know for months because these ballots are going to be all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other places. They're not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%.
Oh
it's a fraud, and it's a shame. And can you imagine where they say you have to have your ballot in by November 10th? November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election, in theory, should have been announced.
Okay.
We have major states with that.
Sir,
all run by
2 minutes
Democrats.
is 2 minutes.
All run by Democrats. It's
President Trump,
it's a rigged election.
you're going to be able to continue. You have been charging for months that
No, I don't support Trump.
It's going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail.
Wow.
Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots, definitely. I don't think, I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so, because what's happening is incredible. I read today, where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were invalidated. They take them. We don't like them. We don't like them.
Well, what do you do about it? There are millions of ballots going out.
What you do is you go and vote. You do a solicited ballot, and that's okay. Or you go and vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people.
You go and vote. You go and vote, like they used to in the old.
Millions of people.
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending. They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia. Mailmen selling the ballots. They're being sold. They're being dumped in rivers. This is a horrible thing for our country. This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well.
5 states had mail-in ballots for the last decade or more.
It's going to get really ugly.
States. And
we might be in the hospital when all this craziness is happening.
It's sent to your home. What we're saying is, that it has to be a postmark by election day. If it doesn't get in until the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just
calm down, MDF fan, and pretend you follow Jesus for once in your life. Stop with all the they're going to get a fight nonsense.
Excuse me. Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there was some other irregularity, or they missed the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this, because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
When you have 80 million ballots, Senate and swamping the system, you know it can't be done. You know it can't, and already.
All right. So now, mail service delivered. Gentlemen, and the final question in 8 states, we can keep talking. In 8 states, election workers are prohibited currently by law. 8 states from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and flatten them until election day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks,
It could be months.
until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest? And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you
I'm
go first.
urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know,
That's not
today
good.
there was a big problem in Philadelphia.
You're supposed to de-escalate this stuff.
It was a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia. Bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what,
does that mean?
from a comment,
Does that mean
I'll tell you what it means. It means you have a fraudulent election. You're sending out 80 million ballots. They're not equipped to.
He's not
These
answering
people
it.
aren't equipped to handle it. Number one.
Oh,
Number
he's
two,
answering it.
No, he's saying
This is
like,
an
what are
answer.
you gonna do about it?
He's answering it.
And they all had the name.
And I'm not even in principle disagreeing with him, but when you've got millions and millions and millions of people watching you, this is totally irresponsible. Wow.
And will you pledge not
Wow.
to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes. And here's the
For
deal.
COVID.
We count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until election day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time
COVID is
to
the
do it. And by
reason
the
why
way,
people
our
are doing a lot of
military,
mail-ins.
they've
Yes.
been voting by ballots since at the end of the Civil War, in effect. And that's
Exactly,
what's
Anna.
happen. Why was it not? Why
Would
is
you
it
once in your
somehow
freaking life
not
lead
fraud?
Trump? What the
It's a simple
hell?
process. It's honest. No
So
one has
Wallace
established
tells
at
him,
all that
tell
there
your
is
goons, the
fraud
goons that
related
show up to
the
places with
mail-in
M4s and all this
that
shit,
somehow
tell your
fraud
goons to
and
stand
fraud.
down. What does he do? He tells them to go there and act as poll watchers. Really? What are their qualifications? How do we know that they're the completely unbiased poll watcher? Really?
Because once the
Wow.
winner is declared after all the
Wow,
ballots are
wow,
counted, all the
wow.
votes are counted,
Unfreaking real.
that'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the
Unreal.
outcome. And I'll be a president not just for the
Wow.
Democrats. I'll be a
I'm
president for Democrats
shocked.
and Republicans.
I should
And this
never
time,
be shocked by this guy, but I'm shocked.
Will you say that's the end?
Holy
This is the
shit.
end of this debate.
Honest ballot count.
We're
And I
going to
think
leave
he
it
does
there.
too.
To be continued as in more debates as we go on. President Trump,
Wow.
Vice President Biden, it's been an interesting hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank
Black Panthers were at polling stations, but Obama didn't get in front of the freaking TV and tell the Black Panthers to go to the polling stations in the midst of a situation where we literally have American citizens shooting each other in the streets. Hello. Our countrymen are killing each other over this bullshit. And this fucking guy, don't say that word, sends people into the freaking polls to be poll watchers? Who qualifies them? You're going to have a bunch of Confederate flag wearing guys with their freaking rifles at the fucking polling stations? And then we're going to have, what is the idiots, the not fucking around crew, they're going to show up too? They're going to poll watch too? What?
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
Oh my God.
To the American people. Multiple questions, multiple dust-ups.
Oh my God, this is so frustrating. So frustrating.
Fiery time. Chris Wallace at time.
What the hell? Wow. That is insane. Oh my gosh. See, this is the thing that kills me about Trump. I think Trump completely wiped the floor with Biden in the debate. You know, Biden obviously lied a bunch of times when he was confronted about his son, but then he goes and does this. Can't you say something generic like, hey, let the American process work, trust the system? Aren't these the same people, the Republicans, every time we get upset that one of ours is getting killed and there's no recourse? These are the same people that are like, what's wrong with you Negroes? Just trust the system. Yep. Just trust the system. The whole system isn't rigged against you. What's going on? So now it's your time to tell your folks to do that, and you tell them to go and be poll watchers? Wow. We're not even a month removed from Kyle Rittenhouse killing those people. How would they even
do that?
It's unbelievable.
How would they even be poll watchers? What are they going to do? Go back there where they're collecting them? Like, there's no way that can't land like violently.
No, I'm focused, Infinity, and that's why I'm upset, because I love my country. And I die for my country, and I got family members who put it on the line for this country, and my countrymen are shooting themselves in the street, killing one another, and both sides are mocking it and making memes out of it the next day. So when the president shows up in this freaking zeitgeist, when we're killing each other, and something that with that amount of potential for civil war and civil destruction, and you don't de-escalate it, but you escalate it by saying something. You literally could not have said anything worse than that. What do you mean? No, I'm focused. I'm focused. There's nobody on this planet that's been sitting and watching me for the last 2.5, 3 hours can say I'm anti-Trump, but that was some bullshit. Nothing's going to happen to him. All his kids are good. His family's good. And quite frankly, I don't know. You want to turn on TV and hear more Americans are shooting each other and killing each other in the streets, bruh? Because that's what's happening. Now, I'm not going to put that all on him, but holy shit, bro. Wow. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. No, Rob Noxious, I'm not blowing his answer out of proportion. And this is the reason, this is the thing that gets me about Trump and his acolytes. This was a completely irresponsible move for him to do. And the fact that these people can never hold this man accountable is one of the reasons that we don't have any checks and balances. And that's why he can do all this great stuff for this country. Like, I'm not taking away the economic stuff for this country. I'm not even blaming him for his COVID response. I don't blame anybody, Democrat or Republican, honestly, for the COVID response. But this shit right here, he is absolutely responsible for what he's saying. And he's done it before. In 2018 with the migrant caravan, he kept using the term invaders, talking about Al-Qaeda was there at MS-13 and all this bullshit. And then that dude went up and shot up that synagogue using the same terminology that Trump did. And they never, ever, ever hold this man accountable. This is some dangerous shit, y'all. This is dangerous. You got these people who are sitting home, and then their leader, who they look at as the head of their militia, tells them to go to the polls and poll watch. Do these people even know what's supposed to happen at a poll? Do they even know how the shit is supposed to go down? So who are they to make those decisions and determinations? And who do they report to? What are the logistics of poll watching? How many people should poll watch? How do you balance it out? How do you test for non-biases in the poll watcher? How do we know that the poll watcher are not intimidating voters and swinging things the other way? There's a whole bunch of fucking unanswered questions here. And we've seen in the last 30 days that both sides are willing to put bodies on the ground. And this guy gets in here in the middle of this type of context and says some shit like this, and you don't want to hold him accountable. I'm overreacting. I don't know, bro. Maybe you're fine. Maybe you're fine. You can see this 17-year-old kid getting attacked by grown men and having to kill them. And then 5 days later, some guy goes and enacts some revenge on behalf of Antifa, which apparently is not. Apparently, you can see that shit where Americans are doing that to each other. You're fine with that? I'm not fine with that. I wasn't born in this country. So I don't take this country for granted. I actually love the hell out of this country. So I don't like to see my own countrymen hating each other so much that they're willing to kill each other. And if they're doing this shit before the election, You're saying that answer is not throwing gasoline and wood in that fucking... Are you out of your mind? I'm making too much of it. I don't know, bro. Have you been watching the news? The fuck planet are you on? I mean, I love you, but what planet are you on? I'm out of my mind. What are you talking about?
I'm still confused how that would work. So you show up, people show up, they go into their booths to vote. Like, what are these people going to do when they show up to those locations? Like, how can they regulate anything?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going to get a bunch of rednecks like this Tom Waits here, and he's going to show up with his rifle and his Confederate flag hat. Him and his buddies are going to stand out there by the fucking polling stations, and then they're going to be the judge, jury, and executioner of what polls are being done accurately.
How can you even know any of that?
What? All right. All right. Well, this is 2020. And here you go. Here you go. I think that was a terrible answer. And I think Trump is he obviously loves himself and his ego more than he loves his country. Listen to me very closely. I am not saying that the argument that the ballots could be corrupted or the vote, whatever. I'm not saying that that's a bullshit argument.
Right.
I think we need to really sit down and carefully think this shit through, because we've never been in a pandemic in the midst of an election year before. So anybody that comes out and says, oh, we know exactly how this shit is supposed to work out is lying, because nobody's experienced this before. So I believe that that's a valid argument. But when you're the leader and you've got 150 million people behind you, you don't tell people, oh, yeah, you're the solution. You and a couple of your militia friends show up and you poll watch. Don't tell them that. You say, we're going to figure, just like he said with the vaccine, we're going to have a vaccine very soon.
Yep.
Okay. So you say, yep, this is a problem. We're going to have a solution very soon. You're trying to tell me that you can figure out something like a vaccine for a pandemic that's killed 1 million people in the world, 200,000 of your own countrymen? You mean to tell me that you can figure that shit out very, very soon, but you can't figure out voting and the integrity of the vote and tell the American people that we're going to have it figured out? But instead, you're telling people to increase the hostilities and tensions in our country? Are you serious? There's no other answer Trump could have given, and none of y'all see any danger in that type of a response? And now look at this silly. Look, these people are silly as hell, man. Silly as hell. All right. So everybody knows my opinion on that response from Mr. Trump. It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And look, I'm never gonna look. I've been in organizations and situations where I was a complete blank slate emotionally, and I had to be, and it was important, and we got the job done. But I'm sorry, man, but there are some situations. There's a story in the Bible where God says. He says to the angels, he said, look, I want you to go through the city and mark everybody who is mourning over the sin of Jerusalem. And then the angels come back and say, okay, we did it. And then God said, kill everybody else. Because there are certain times in the zeitgeist of a nation where it is immoral to remain calm.
Yeah.
And if you love your country, and you've seen your own countrymen kill each other, and that doesn't do something to you, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you. So, look, and I am not saying if you vote for Trump, something is wrong for you, because this shit show of a candidate, Joe Biden, I'm sorry, but Joe Biden got absolutely annihilated. Annihilated.
Yeah.
In this debate. He got wrecked in this debate. So I'm not going to come out here in this simplistic worldview and say,
Yeah.
Everybody who votes for Trump is a racist. Nope. You can still vote for Trump, even though he said something radically irresponsible and horrific in the current situation that we're in. Okay? I'm sorry, but if you didn't know who Trump or Biden was, and this was your first time at debate, I'm sorry, but Biden got annihilated. Now, what I will say about Biden in this debate is that he didn't do as horribly as I thought he would.
That too.
He had a few trip ups, but whoever was writing his stuff down on the iPad and stuff like that, he couldn't really deal with Trump with the ad libs that Trump was doing. But by and large, he didn't screw up as bad as he could have. And so from that perspective,
100%.
you got to say that Biden won in that situation. But as far as mano a mano, it wasn't even close. He completely wiped the floor with him. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, Biden just straight up lied. He lied about his son. He I mean, this is stuff that's all public record.
But Trump lied because that Kelly girl really did say
well,
that.
Kellyanne Conway, I just don't think it's the same thing. Like, that's your son. Like, Kellyanne Conway isn't like Trump's son or daughter.
Yeah.
So she can go out and say a whole bunch of stuff, and it's possible that he didn't know what she said.
Oh, I see.
Whereas this is your son,
yeah,
and you went over there and blackmailed them to the tune of $1 billion, and then you acted like you didn't do it when all of us know that you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was all over the place last year. So, like, I don't understand. But that's the same thing he did with Bernie. He accused Bernie of something, and Bernie was like, "What are you talking about? I didn't do that." And he goes, "Yes, you did 9 times. It was a complete lie. The whole thing was a lie." So, like, Biden, like, he didn't do well in the debate. And I can see a person looking at this and being like, yo, I cannot justify voting for this guy. Mm-hmm. You know, Biden took an Adderall before the debate. I guarantee you he did. Like, I can understand people say, I can't support voting for this guy. Mm-hmm. But I just wish, and I think Trump's going to win. I just wish that these people would hold him accountable.
I agree.
I do think, though, that there is a couple chess moves in this debate that Trump did that a lot of people will probably miss. But you watch Rising tomorrow, I guarantee you. What he said about the Green New Deal, mm-hmm. what he said about Medicare for all, what he said about Bernie, and when Trump said you just lost the left, he's right. He's right. You need millennials and TYT watching and Rising watching, you know, millennial Gen Xers. You need them to vote for you. And I don't care which media outlet. I don't care which media outlet is saying Biden won. He did not win at all. At all. Mm-mm. Not even close. No way. There's no way. Again, the only way you can say he won that debate is if you were expecting him to have a senilic breakdown in the middle of the debate. Oh, and those are the standards that people are holding by. No way that you could say that he won that debate. Yeah. But other than the moral victory of, hey man, you remembered your name.
Oh my gosh.
But he definitely, that is actually a really, really big story, how he lost the left, because now the left is, I mean, you know, when him and Bernie, like, I don't even know how Bernie can even campaign for him. Like, he's literally against everything you believe in. He's against Medicare for all. He says you have, and literally the language that he used was, you have to be poor enough to qualify for Medicaid. Like, what? That's the language that you use? Like, I think Hillary was a much more reasoned debater, and she was very, very sharp. Hillary had all of her facts. And I don't think she would have alienated the left to the degree that Biden has. I think Biden, you know, between the whole I beat the socialists line that he did earlier this week, and then disavowing Medicare for all, disavowing the Green New Deal. I mean, there are very political ways to massage your way around answering those questions without alienating this young group of Democrats who are very disillusioned right now with the party. So I just think, and I don't understand, like, the people that were like prepping him. Like, I don't understand how you don't think that on a Fox News, you're on Fox News, you're on Trump's home turf. And as much as Chris Wallace did a damn good job moderating, but I just don't understand how you don't think that those questions are going to come up, and how they didn't prep him for that answer, and how, especially after the fallout of him saying, I beat the socialist, and the way that people reacted to that, from Jimmy Dore to the Rising Group, like, you saw how everybody reacted. Why would you come on and say, I don't agree with Medicare for all. I don't agree with Bernie. I beat him, and I beat him handily. Again, dragging Bernie through the mud. He's bragging about how he beat him handily. When we all know that it was Obama that got everybody to collapse around you and coalesce around you to, whatever. But and now you're like ripping open that wound and alienating more people who've been disillusioned. I think that's a big story that people are probably going to miss. But Trump called it out. He said, you just lost the left. And a couple people here called it out. Where somebody said something about AOC and how he disavowed the Green New Deal and all the rest of it. I think Chris Wallace did a good job. Look, I just did a moderated debate, okay? I just did a moderated debate. And if you watch that debate, you can see how debates are actually supposed to go. Donald Trump consistently interrupts people, will not let people finish sentences. He has no respect for people whatsoever. And so Wallace having to interrupt constantly and saying, would you please shut the hell up, Mr. President? He didn't say that, but you get what I'm saying. I think he did a good job, because you can't let Trump just do that. He'll ramrod the entire situation.
That's extremely frustrating, because even the moderator was struggling so much to get him to stop.
And the thing is, Trump knew that Biden was not going to be able to talk off script. Every time Biden talked, he was on a script.
Yep.
That's a fact. So
then he would start blinking and kind of closing his eyes.
Chris Wallace did a damn good job. He did a very, very, very good job, because in a debate, you're supposed to let other people finish their sentences. And like I said, we did a moderated debate. That's how it went, period. And we're just two kids arguing over, whatever. You're the president of the United States. He interrupts every single time, and he was going to completely dominate that show. And if Chris Wallace wouldn't have manned up and said, hey, then you wouldn't, Well, Dan, that's why I do moderated debates, because when you have moderated debates, that doesn't work. So that's how these things are supposed to go. So when you have a moderator, you're supposed to submit to and honor the moderator.
Yeah.
If you're debating somebody on YouTube over blah, 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 then fine. But that's not what this was supposed to be. This is supposed to be a presidential debate with a moderator, and Trump never honored the moderator. Those are just facts. And you have to, if you're going to be serious and you're going to honor your audience, because it's not really about honor. They tell you when you prep for debates, it's not about honoring the moderator. It's about honoring your audience. And the job of the moderator is to make sure that the audience is respected. That's the point. So I'm sorry, but Trump put Chris Wallace in a situation where he either had to interrupt him constantly, or he had to let Trump just kind of run the entire thing, because it was clear. And I think honestly, like, if you watch it at the beginning, Wallace would wait, and you could see that Biden couldn't respond, because it was clear that when Biden was getting prepped, they were saying, look, do not go off script with this guy.
Yeah.
It was clear. So Biden was completely closed off. So you're not going to get a response out of Biden. That means that Trump is going to dominate the entire discussion. You have to stop that. You have to. So I give a lot of props to Chris Wallace for that. No, I'm not voting for Trump. All right. What did you think about the debate? Tell me your thoughts, and then you're up, Johan.
My thoughts?
Yeah. Tell me your thoughts about who won the debate.
I'm going to say Trump obviously won the debate. I told you you would. I mean, everyone knew. I didn't need to tell anybody that. No, you didn't need to tell anybody that. I was very shocked when Joe Biden said that he wasn't agreeing with the Green New Deal. That was very interesting. I thought that he said, I am the left. He was embodying
I am the Democrat. Yeah, I forgot about that. I am the Democratic Party. What a ridiculous thing.
He just disowned the Green New Deal, which is really a prevalent opinion among the not opinion but policy among the left. I mean, there's not much to talk about. I mean, well now you covered all the bases. You talked about the whole pole guard thing. You talked about his strategic moves to get him to message. Talked about his notes, his iPad he kept looking down at. Let's see, what else is there I found interesting. Well, yeah, you mentioned the interrupting thing. I like his interrupting, kind of the principle of what it means. Like, he's only said to China. Like, I feel like him interrupting Biden tells us why he got stuff done with China. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's very assertive, he's very aggressive. Sure, maybe it's not like informality is not a good thing, but I think we need a president who's not like, soft. We need a president who's going to stand up to foreign governments, Hunter, and we need people who's going to be very assertive and just lay down, like he said, law, or is going to lay down the law, which is a separate issue from Macaulay when I say law and order. But I think we need a president who's by and large going to be very assertive about their worldview. So, I mean, and how they're going to run the country.
So you like the fact that
I don't like the fact that he interrupted Biden.
No, but I see what you're saying, because it's not good in the context of what the debate is supposed to be about, but you do want that guy in the boardroom with China.
Yeah.
And a guy like Biden, he'd get eaten alive.
And you saw how diplomatic he was with Kim Jong-un. Wasn't like
it's true.
That crazy with him, but
the what did you think about the debate?
Well, I mean,
the people want to.
The main problem I have with Biden is that he kept bringing up how he's supposed to hold people accountable and about racism stuff. But then he said when he passed a crime bill and he hasn't revoked, and he said that he hasn't taken that back.
Correct.
So I don't know why he's even on that. Like, if you should be consistent instead of saying both ways, just makes like a liar. Like, if you're gonna say that thing about the crime bill, you must just continue saying it or take it back instead of just doing that. And of course, the whole Trump thing at the end, I thought that was I didn't understand about how bad that would be because I don't really watch the news, so I didn't know what chaos it would bring, but.
What do you think about that, Dorian? Like, are you good with him telling people to show up at the polls and be poll counters and stuff in the middle of the situation that we're in right now?
Look, I know you're an honest guy, but I have to see that clip again. I think I was distracted. I think I heard him say like, "Can you make sure it's right?" I assume talking about their own ballot. They make sure they have everything down to a point.
No, no. He's spinning this entire yarn, and it could be true. I'm not sure, but he's spinning this entire yarn that these mail-in ballots are going to be fake and that the election's about to be rigged. So he was telling people, show up at the polls. Let's say that this was true. If this was true, after you do your own research, because it's true. You're not supposed to, comment on things that you don't know definitively about. So good. But let's say that this was true, that he told people, his supporters, because the context of the discussion was, hey, we're in a really bad time in the country. Can you tell your people to stand down, de-escalate what's crackling here? And Trump said he refused to tell them to stand down. As a matter of fact, he told them to show up at the polls as poll counters or poll whatever, integrity workers or whatever. Do you think that was a responsible, as a Trump supporter, do you think that was a responsible response to that request?
When you vote, they don't separate them. Republicans don't go to one spot and Democrats go to another spot. They all go to the same area.
I think he just.
Do you think that was responsible?
Awareness about when he's talking, like he's like so public. You can't just say stuff like that. We're gonna get the wrong idea. Like maybe. He doesn't want people showing up with their rifles, or what is that clever Montana accent you do there?
Well, he didn't Montana accent.
Showing up with their rifles.
He didn't tell them to show up with their rifles.
I know.
He told them to show up as poll watchers or something. Poll watchers. Something like that.
I think he means well in a way, not like maybe not means well. That's just a little bit too generous.
You think he means well?
No. I just it's a little bit too generous.
But did you think? But hold on. Did you think that it was my question is, do you think that it was a responsible response to that statement?
No. I mean, no. That was no.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
Question the effectiveness.
Here, I'm going to try to show you. I'm going to try to find the exact moment when he said it.
Okay.
In the United States, instead of percent of the world's problem, we in fact
a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over the place. They sent 2 in a Democratic. What happened in Manhattan? Take a look at what happened.
But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted.
You go and vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people.
You didn't know. You have someone say that this is me.
Very carefully, because that's what has to happen.
Look right here.
Interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage in any civil unrest? And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump,
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell you what, from a comments.
Somebody said that that's not what he said. That is exactly what he said. Wallace gave him an opportunity. It was a 3-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle of the plate to say, calm down, guys. And he says, no, go over there and count the ballots. And if it doesn't come out the way that I want it, then I can't accept it.
Well, he didn't say that.
Okay, well, let's listen to it again.
He said it didn't come out fair.
Who determines what's fair in Trump's world?
What's fair?
Do you think that Trump looks at like objective criteria for fairness? Who do you think defines fair in Trump's world?
The Electoral College. He just 270.
You think that that's what he meant?
Yeah.
I'm going to play it again.
Be able to, if in fact you can verify that before the ballot is thrown.
The election itself. But for the ballots, I think so, because what's happening is incredible. I read today, we're at least 1% of the ballots for 2016.
Okay.
We have major states with that.
Sir,
all run by Democrats.
2 minutes.
All run by Democrats. The election, and I think we're going to do well, because I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so, because what's happening is incredible. I read today. If they weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad.
Okay, so here it is.
Certified. President Trump,
I'm urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully, because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As you know, today there was a big problem. In Philadelphia, they went in to watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch. You know why? Because bad things happen in Philadelphia, bad things. And I am urging my people. I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair election, I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't.
You just say being.
From a common sense, I'll tell you what it means. It means you have a fraudulent election. You're sending out 80 million ballots. They're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number one. Number two, they cheat.
Do you think that was a responsible response to that question?
No, I didn't say it wasn't a responsible response.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I think he should have said.
This is our resident Trump supporter who says it was an irresponsible statement from Mr. Trubbs.
I think he should have said, I'll meet with my cabinet and we'll talk about this.
Right, because that would be the presidential thing to say.
It's a smart thing to say. I mean, let's figure this out.
Right.
You just said
so
they never
my
had this situation
14-year-old son,
or like I don't know.
My 14-year-old son could come up with a more political, intelligent response than Mr. Trump. And again, if if you're new and you just jumped on here, look, I am not like one of these like I hate Trump thing. I just said earlier that Trump wiped the floor with Biden. I think Biden was horrible in this debate. I think I think anybody that says that Biden had even a shot at this debate are looking at him with some very, very low standards. And I think that Biden is objectively worse for black people than Trump is, as a fact. But that was an insane response.
Yeah, but I think that he could have said something political if he wanted to. But I think he wanted to send a message, and that's what he did. I don't think he got caught off guard and just said something stupid.
But the thing is, he said he wanted his.
The sheriff of Portland just tweeted that Trump is flat out lying. He said he would never support Trump. So Trump said, specifically mentioned the sheriff of what do you call it? Of Portland.
Yeah.
So
did you see that? Pull that up. I want to see that.
What?
A tweet.
Are you sure they said the sheriff of Washington?
No, he said the sheriff of Portland.
Sheriff of Portland. I remember because I was like, hey, of course it was.
Yeah, that's what that's why I knew too.
Oh no.
Okay, so I love Trump. What a ridiculous person. I love when people say unsubscribing now. Get the fuck out. I don't care about you, bruh. There is no sheriff in Portland, but Multnomah County Sheriff Mike Reese tweeted that he does not and will never support President Trump. Trump claims Portland. Okay, well, first of all, there is no Portland sheriff, so I'm sure there was some sheriff somewhere in Oregon that supports him. So that doesn't work.
Maybe it's in Eugene.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm sure there's some sheriff in Oregon that supports Trump. I'm sure of that. So, that's why you gotta fact check.
Do you think Biden was fear-mongering?
That sheriff supports right? What did you say?
Do you think Biden was fear-mongering a lot in the debate?
How so?
He kept saying like he's ruined everything, or things terrible now. Things were so much better back in the day.
Yeah, and he was saying that he was about the whole going into office and coming out with less jobs.
Yeah.
But no president listening are like COVID.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's
it's reasonable.
Yeah.
Unless there's some crazy plan that could bring the economy all the way back and from getting when did coronavirus hit, by the way?
Yeah, December-ish.
So like
no, I think
last third year.
I think you're right. I think that's a very solid. So Johan makes the argument that about Trump losing all these jobs, and Johan's like, we had coronavirus to deal with, right? And so like if Trump, and here is the thing that was bad about the Biden argument, which I'd have done if I was Trump, which is easy for me to say. I'm not on stage in front of millions of people, but on the one hand, Biden is saying that Trump is a horrible person for trying to open up the economy. But then on the other hand, he blames him for the destruction of the economy for shutting it down due to COVID. Well, which is it? Is Trump bad for trying to jumpstart the economy, or is he bad for shutting down the economy due to COVID? So
I think he just had some bullet points that they were supposed to use in either scenario, and it just ended up mixing.
I think technically, Dorian, you could make the argument that Biden was fear-mongering. Here's why I personally don't. You're probably going to say this is special pleading. Here's why I personally don't believe that it was fear-mongering. It's because I don't believe that anybody was looking at Biden and taking anything that he had to say seriously. I think the people that were for Trump were just waiting for Biden to screw up, and were like salivating and waiting for him to screw up and not really listening to what he was saying. And I think the people that were pro-Biden were scared to death that he was going to screw up and were just holding their breath until he could get past his 2 minutes. So I don't feel like he was fear-mongering, because I don't think that anybody really would take, anything that he had to say seriously to create any fear. If Obama would have got up and said something like that, I'd say it's fear-mongering. If Bernie would have, because people will take both of those people very, very seriously. Hillary Clinton. If Hillary Clinton got up and started fear-mongering, I would probably get scared, because I have hella respect for her cognitive abilities and her understanding of politics. So I just don't think that he was fear-mongering. I think what you were saying, you were saying about the bullet points.
I think he does both with certain scenarios, and then just didn't fit into the right.
Right. That's very, very. I always talk
Yeah, I
about
know.
Johan and how insightful he is
Yeah.
with people. So Johan basically said Biden had bullet points, and some of the bullet points didn't fit for the responses, but he had to read them anyway. Basically, yeah, very, 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 very insightful.
So you said that Trump had it all in his head.
Trump had that all in his head.
So if you said that all in his head, which means that they can recall it from memory, then they don't need to constantly look at a script that someone helped him make. I would rather trust him in office, even if not as in the holes at the end, but somebody that can actually knows to talk about, rather than just reading off in the script. I feel like it's better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, at the ending was bad, but just the fact that he was able to, take stuff from the hand instead of having.
I feel like that too. Because there's not going to be one of those when he's sitting in, like you said, with China or whatever.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to have an iPad with him with someone telling him what to say.
Or
Like you need to be
hostile
able to handle that yourself.
countries.
Yeah.
Like, take a look at I think his name is Bill Richardson.
And you can't script like no one's scripted coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't. So he if you know something that like I think that's why remembering the Bible is like really important if you want to understand it, because you know it because you memorized and went through in your head. So someone that actually knows the principles and knows stuff that he's talking about. So when you're gonna need some of that to take us to a situation like this, it's good rather than someone who's just gonna rip script, because there's no script for the coronavirus.
Yeah, no, I get you. There's no script for the coronavirus. I get you. I mean, I think even, yeah. Obviously, Trump is and all these silly people that say Trump is stupid and all the rest of it, like, it's ridiculous. Trump has a ridiculously sharp mind. So I can't really argue with your logic on that from that perspective. But I would say that a person's character should also, to some degree, inform your vote. You're saying if you had to go ahead.
What are you talking about? Their character should inform our decision. I mean, Biden lied a bunch of times in this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we're dealing with anybody here that seems like they're morally straight. Like, everybody seems like they're kind of slighting things. When Biden talks, even when he talks clear, I still feel like he's doing the political stuff. When he like looks into the camera and, does that thing and stuff like that. Like, I just feel like the same feeling that you get when you go to a car lot and they're trying to sell you a car and you feel like you're getting pushed into it. Like, we all know that's why people have that phrase, like, oh, it feels like a used car salesman, is because we know that feeling and we don't like it. And Biden gives you that feeling. But Trump doesn't. Trump seems that he's kind of.
And notice that.
But I don't think either one of them are pure as the driven snow.
I've barely ever seen Biden look at Trump at all, but I've seen Trump look at Biden a lot, which I feel like is a good thing, because if you're just looking at the camera all the time or looking down, I just feel that was good that he did that.
Thank you, J. Paul.
He kept doing that instead of. I don't know why.
It's Biden's looking at the camera, or his constant looking down at his obvious notes indicates that he's just, the people that are handling him are like, look, this is what we have. This is naked politicization. Like, this is just, I am a politician right now. And Trump has that ability to be a politician, but a human politician. And you don't really know that he's politicking. He is, but he's not doing the looking at the camera for dramatic effect. And like you were talking about, like, he's looking at the guy, and Trump understands that his persona is to be an alpha male and to be dominant. And so it sends signals to his constituency. He's looking down at him. He's going after him. Biden, when Biden was off camera and things like that, and you looked at Biden, like, he looked like he was going to cry sometimes.
Yeah,
like some of his facial expressions were. And again, Trump is the orange man, but at the same time, I think Amy Lee pointed this out. Like, he was so pale and just looked weak and old. Like, no disrespect to the elderly, but you know, Bernie is old, but he's a vibrant old guy. You know, it said in Moses that he died and that his, you know, his eyes were still strong. You know, that Moses died a strong man. Like Biden is, you know, Bernie is demonstrative. He's got some fire in his belly. He's got the accent. He's got the crazy hair. You know what I mean? Like he's still got that vibrance about him, whereas Biden was just very robotic and very like, you could tell it was like, I don't want to mess up here. So when you were talking about like Biden was looking at the camera, looking down, that's also a very good insight because that played very, very well into Trump, like the body language thing, which is what I tell people all the time when I consult with them. I'm like, man, your body language says a lot. Okay, so did this shift your understanding of who you would vote for, you know, in 8 years when you're able to vote, or 11 years or 6 years?
Well,
you're 12 now, so in 6 years you're going to be able to vote. So
well,
if I put you in a DeLorean right now, who are you voting for? Just be honest. Don't let these people influence you.
I'm not. I'm thinking because
Can't even read the comments.
That wouldn't affect him anyway.
What Trump said was very bad. And especially when you said that you guys might be in the hospital when that whole election thing is going on. But Biden is just spreading lies, and he's against the black community. And our family is more black than it is, you know. It's more. So I just don't know because both seem really, really bad. And then I don't know which one's the.
Well, I mean, you could always write in Bernie.
Oh yeah, I vote for Bernie.
You'd write in Bernie?
Oh yeah.
What about you, Dorian?
Me? Is Trump? Trump or Tulsi?
Trump or Tulsi?
Yeah, I actually
Okay,
like Tulsi.
Okay, so
it's the same thing I like Trump for. She didn't go with the fake news stuff. She has the fake news written about her. And she stands up to it, and she went up against Lloyd Clinton, she went up against the other girl, the racist Kamala Harris. And I like that resilience, that unyielding to political. I don't really know political practice. I don't even know why she's a Democrat in the first place. Probably just because she disagrees with Trump.
Who?
Tulsi. Like, do you see any Democratic, like?
Well, she's kind of you know, she's closer to the Medicare for all thing. She's got a humane healthcare policy, I think.
But I think is that when you see something is wrong, you should just admit it so you incorporate into your plan. Like if Biden, I think there's one point in the debate, I don't exactly remember what or when it happened, but I think Biden said something good, and then I was thinking to myself, Trump should just accept that and say, yeah, I'll into my plans or something, because I feel like that.
Was it the climate change stuff?
The affidavit?
I don't know, but I think just like when you know that when you say that you're wrong, I think just accept it and then like just be honest and say like they just add into what you're gonna do.
Right. Because
if there's a good point and you say, yeah, he's right, but if you do that all the time, then you know you're not the good president. But if you do like, you know, here and there, like no one's gonna have the entire thing, you know. So I think that'd be a good thing, and I want to see that. But
yeah, no, you're not gonna get that from Trump. Okay, the ego's the size of his bank account. What about you, Sori? You've been swinging all over the place.
I know. The thing is, if voting for Trump will tip the scales on Roe v. Wade, then I'm going to vote for Trump.
Okay, I don't think that's going to be pertinent because the Republicans are going to push through Amy Coney Barrett anyway, or whatever her name is.
You think so?
Yeah. He's got the numbers and he's got the aggression for it. So
it's really tough.
Let's say that Amy is in already. So you've got that majority.
Yeah, it's tough because Trump does things and says things that are like really freaky, I think. Like what he said, obviously, about the polls. You know, when he talked about, you know, bringing the National Guard on American citizens, that stuff to me freaks me right out. I'm like, that is messed up and I don't trust him. But then I like the way I think that he comports himself very immaturely, but at the same time, he gets stuff done. And I like that. I like a person that's going to get things done. I like it that I don't feel like other countries are going to push us Americans around, stuff like that. I like that.
Honey, do you really believe that people have been pushing us around?
I think that Biden looks so weak that I don't think, like the deal with China, like I don't think that gets made.
No, he's the only
with-
human being. No,
Right.
Trump is the only
And I
person
feel like
that would have done that.
I feel like that Trump can kind of like maneuver things in certain ways. Like and the other thing too is that I am so tired of the like politicians saying they're going to do this thing, they're going to do that thing, and then they don't do it. It's all these promises before election, and then they don't follow through with the things that they say. And Trump really followed through on, I don't know all the stuff that he said, but the stuff that kind of stuck out to me, he followed through on. And I think that that's really good. And I like that. Obviously Medicare for all, I agree with you, is a huge, huge thing. I'm always stuck. I'm stuck in this situation because I would write in Bernie, but if writing in Bernie is just going to waste my vote, I'd rather write in Trump, but I think Trump's going to win anyway. So to answer your question, I don't know.
Okay, well, what if
I don't
it was
know.
if yours was a divide? Okay, so let's say that all of America was tied, a three-way tie between Bernie, Trump, and Biden. Would you submit a vote for Bernie to get into office?
Wait, what?
So there's a three-way tie between Bernie, Trump, and Biden, and you had the decisive vote.
Oh my gosh. Okay, then I think I'm going to go with Bernie because I think we can save more lives with Bernie.
As you're saying that, Randy Williams says Bernie wants 36-week abortions. That's true.
He does?
36 weeks.
Absolutely, it's true. He doesn't want any gestation. He wants everything.
36 weeks?
He wants everything to be like Colorado.
That's beyond where that's like I'm 33 weeks.
Sori's at 33 right now.
And like I feel his baby kicking around, rolling around, doing all kinds of stuff. What in the world? 36
I take
weeks?
it back. I vote for Trump. I take it back. Because if
I can't roll with Bernie on that.
If it's between those three, then I mean
I can't do it. And I understand that people are gonna die if they don't have Medicare for all, but
they're also gonna die if we keep having these wars that the Democratic Party is in complete love with.
Okay, I can't. I'm going with Trump. That's disgusting. 36 weeks.
Well, you already it's Hawaii, District of Columbia, Colorado, they don't have gestational limits. So, I mean, you essentially don't have gestational limits in New York. And that happened under Trump. See, that's the thing. Under Trump, the freaking RHA thing got passed, which is abortion up to the 9th month in New York. So how is voting for Trump going to stop that from happening? How is that gonna stop that from happening? That's my thing.
Well, I mean,
wait, is Trump from
Bernie's saying he's going for 36 weeks. So
well, no, they asked him about gestational limits and he refused. He says he doesn't believe in gestational limits. That's the issue.
Steven, 36 weeks is when I was born.
Yeah, these people are evil. I get it, but at the same time, the RHA got passed under Trump's watch, and in the middle of that, he was in a pissing contest with Pelosi about the wall. So obviously, the wall is more important to Trump than abortion. So, I mean, and again, he's got Amy Coney Barrett in there, whatever her name is, and she's supposedly pro-life. So, I mean, it was an all-white, all-male, right-wing Supreme Court that afflicted us with Roe v. Wade in the first place. So I don't understand this. Oh, well, I'm going to vote for Trump now. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. They're all evil in their own special ways, I suppose.
But I just feel that Biden brings nothing to this country at all. You might as well stick around as president.
At least you can say want more.
That's our 1.5-year-old.
So when
let's talk for be careful.
Trade deals.
Be careful. Scripture says you need to honor your elders. Honor your elders. Be careful.
I just think that he presents nothing to the table
Yeah,
at all except for just.
Well, you didn't have to say that a 1-year-old would be better than him. That's kind of toeing the line.
But I just think
I think God said something like that in the Bible, didn't he?
he's not gonna. I just don't
Yeah,
think
that's
he's gonna-
God. He's not God. He's a 12-year-old kid.
I don't think he's gonna. I mean, God killed people too, so you would want to go by that principle. And there's so many other.
You're talking to Sori.
Yeah, so.
Anyway,
So I was like, Biden's really anything new to the table, and if the world just crumble, just not the world, but America just crumble under his rule.
His rule.
He would have let China in because of the
Right.
PC.
100%.
The PC, he would have just let him in.
You're
And
100%
that's what I'm
right.
saying.
That's
If
100%.
Nancy Pelosi would run on TV and said, no, we can't let China in, he would be like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, he's
It's
just a
true.
little puppet.
No, you're right about that. But again, I give everybody a free pass on coronavirus. The Democrats handled it horribly. You know, they tried to make Cuomo this big hero, and like more people died per capita in New York than any other state. So, you know,
Well,
like
I'm just saying that's why I like his aggressiveness and not and going against the PC.
I understand you like
mean,
his.
he says-
I understand that you like his aggression. If he could realize when to turn it on and when to turn it off, like that's what makes LeBron so.
But does
powerful
he need
as
to
a-
turn it off though? Like,
Yeah, he needs to turn it
Does he
off
really need-
when people are telling him, "Hey, tell your people to stand down." That's when he needs to turn it off and be conciliatory.
Okay.
Now, if he's in a debate with Biden, fine, go after him. You know, like tear him to shreds.
Okay.
But like when it's talking about the entire country, see, that's my problem with him. Is like he does all these great things, and then he'll go out and mismanage his Twitter. And
you think his Twitter's a problem?
his Twitter's absolutely a problem. He was on Twitter talking about invaders and how Al Qaeda and MS-13 and all this shit was happening with the migrant caravan, which was complete bullshit. He was just doing it because of the midterm elections, right? It's 2018, and people died over that shit. So that's my problem with Trump. And, you know, it's just one of these days where if you woke up and you heard Trump bomb some nation randomly, would any of us be surprised?
I'm surprised.
I wouldn't be
No.
surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised with anybody. I wouldn't be surprised with Obama because he did that shit.
Right.
We're in Niger. We're fighting a proxy war for the Saudis in Yemen. We're taking a side on the Shia Sunni nonsense that's been going on for 1,400 years. We're taking sides in a 1,400-year
I'll tell
situation.
You, I'll
Like
tell you
it's
what
unbelievable.
more, like if they said if I woke up tomorrow, would I be surprised if Trump all of a sudden like overtook like our Constitution and like stepped in where he shouldn't be stepping in on our freedoms? Trump is the most like flag, like he's the one that raises the flag to me the most. I feel like if Biden was in there, I'd
You
be
believe
very
that Trump
surprised.
would be more likely to violate the Constitution?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And violating our freedoms and taking things from us that he shouldn't be touching.
See, I feel like Biden would be more likely to do that
What?
than
No.
Trump.
You
would.
think Biden has the audacity to do that?
Yeah, he was the one that is the main progenitor of the crime bill.
That was like,
Right, like
what, 30 years ago?
he hasn't repented of it.
Yeah, he's not repented of it, but you think he's in the same condition as he was 30 years ago?
Yeah,
No, I think otherwise he would have came and refuted it.
No,
They
same
put-
condition mentally.
They brought it up in the debate, and he said nothing but he avoided it as.
No, I'm not saying his
mindset.
mindset. I'm saying his audacity has changed, and his political intelligence has changed.
No, I agree. Trump has been trying to pull us out of war, and the Democrats have been consistently trying to pull us back into war. That's a fact.
Yeah, but this is gonna put us into Civil War II.
Yeah, we're right at the beginning of a civil war, and it doesn't appear that any of Trump's folks are worried about it. So that's the thing that gets me, man.
And all the families that are going to be that are going to have newborn children. All the families that like all the families. Okay, I understand that it's just like, for example, if
I gotta stop you right there. This happens all the time whenever the subject of abortion comes up, and I always have to address it. Here's Mr. Cedar Park. 36-week abortions are for the health of the mother, but Vin already knows this. Cedar Park, that is a lie. You can go right now to drhearn.com. He's an abortionist in Colorado, and he will kill your child for committing crimes such as having Down syndrome or trisomy 21, among other things, even psychiatric indication, meaning I just can't deal with the stress of this baby. He will kill your child. He will kill your child if your child has Down syndrome, You could be completely healthy, and your child could be otherwise completely healthy, and Dr. Hearn will kill your child at 36, 38, 40 weeks if your child has Down syndrome, among other issues. So let's stop with this lie that late-term abortions are happening only if the mother's life or death is at stake. The RHA in New York City, by 1857, they already had abortion as an option to save the life of the mother. So what we're talking about here is killing these children, mostly because of economic inconvenience or because we're applying eugenics to disabled people. Those are facts. Get yourself right before you say stuff. Now, here's Cedar Park. Cedar Park is saying that I'm lying. Now, Cedar Park doesn't know me. So I'm gonna go ahead and forgive him because he doesn't know me, so he doesn't know who he's dealing with. Cedar Park, I never ever talk about things unless I have sources for them, ever. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna actually put the link in third trimester abortion, and you can see right there, he's talking about induced fetal demise, etc., etc., for your baby. So here we go. Patients coming in for third trimester abortion, later abortions are often seeking services for termination of a desired pregnancy that has developed serious complications. This usually means the discovery of a catastrophic fetal anomaly or genetic disorder that guarantees death, suffering, or serious disability for the baby that would be delivered if the pregnancy were to continue to term. Then you go to his fetal anomaly page, and you can see right there that he's talking about Down syndrome. There are generally two kinds of problems, fetal anomaly with pregnancies like this. One kind involves the observation of a discovery of a genetic disorder that predictably would lead to a very serious problem for a young child. This includes things like trisomy 21. And then in parentheses, he specifically states Down syndrome. So there you go. That's drhearn.com, Boulder, Colorado. He boldly tells you that he's been butchering children since 1973. There you go. Go get yourself educated, sir. There are no gestational limits for abortion in Colorado. Stop it. If you support that practice, support it all the way. Don't sit here and make stuff up to salve your own conscience because you're supporting an act that's brutal. I got friends in here that say, yup, we're killing fully formed kids. Let's chop them up. It's probably going to haunt me for a long time, but I'm with it. Let's make it happen. So stop it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I think Ted Cruz, I was out on Ted Cruz when he was talking about carpet bombing the Middle East and making sand glow and all the rest of it. Jeremy Sutherland, there is no such thing as a safe abortion. The goal of abortion is killing. So it is a complete abortion of language to ever use the term safe and abortion together. The goal of it is killing. I can't support Ted Cruz because Ted Cruz is bragged about carpet bombing the Middle East and making sand glow and all the rest of it. Why are you worried about women's bodies, though? I thought y'all cared about freedom and rights. I do care about freedom and rights. And Cheo, I don't know if you know this, but the vast majority of the laws on any books in any country have to do with regulating what you can do with your body. And when you violate those laws, they violate your bodily autonomy all the time. That's what a prison is, right? A prison is a place where we lock people up against their will. So obviously, bodily autonomy is not the government doctrine of a society. All of us would say that you have bodily autonomy insofar as you're not harming another human being. And since we know that abortion is killing a human being and causing them ultimate harm, then that is something that we should not support as people.
And it's still taking away the baby's freedom and rights.
Right. The real issue is that we're taking away the baby's right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If the woman was raped, I don't believe in the death penalty because I'm pro-life. But if we had a country that said we are going to, if it's definitively proven that you're a rapist, and they said, we're going to kill you for committing that act, I would understand it. I could never totally support it because I'm pro-life, but I could understand it. What I cannot understand is killing a child for the crimes of his father. That is something I cannot understand. If banned abortions happen and mentally unstable pregnant women attempt to kill their pregnancy and possibly kill themselves, that's on them. No, Jeremy, I'm a collectivist. I believe that as a society that we're responsible to the individual and that the individual is responsible to the society. And so what we need to do as a society is not spend $8 trillion on killing people in the Middle East and in the Horn of Africa. We need to rechannel those funds into making sure that single mothers are taken care of so that they don't see a doomed future for having a child. And we need to also pour capital into investing in incentivizing more adoptions. In America right now, it is 10 times easier to kill a baby than to adopt a baby. So there are very practical things that a country can do to promote life and to promote female well-being that does not result in the death of her children. So there's that. Taking care of mothers isn't profitable. It's true. It's very, very true. And I think those of us in the pro-life movement, if we're not willing to support these girls, and we need to look, man, I am for a comprehensive pro-life ethic. I am not for, okay, the kid safely made it out of the birth canal. Now he's on his own and mom's on her own. I'm not for that. Nope. Would you still consider it murder before a heartbeat? Well, Jeremy, the question is, what is being killed in an abortion? If a cockroach is being killed, if a giraffe is being killed in an abortion, then I'm not going to say I don't care because I think giraffes are cool, but I don't think that's any of my business. But if we're talking about Homo sapiens, if we're killing Homo sapiens, innocent, defenseless Homo sapiens, then no, I can't support that. Can't support that.
I mean, what makes a human a human? Just because you have a heartbeat does not mean you're a human.
Correct. Cats have heartbeats too. So yeah, if we had a consistent pro-life ethic and we rewound 20 years ago, instead of we spent $8 trillion on killing, I'm sure that there's millions and millions of American women who could have benefited from that $8 trillion, and we'd have millions and millions of kids with us right now. Wouldn't there be more harm to a baby in the hands of someone that doesn't want it? Well, there's a
Adoption, foster.
There's a couple ways to answer that question. I have seen people recover from terrible upbringings. I'm one. I've seen people recover from terrible upbringings. I've never seen a person recover from a successful abortion because we killed them. And please note, I said we, because I said I'm a collectivist. And so God has to figure out the collective degree of culpability of each one of us. But I definitely believe that I, as a person in America, am responsible for a percentage of the abortions in this country because I either A, haven't spoken up often as much as I should, and B, I haven't supported people who are coming up with alternatives for these women who are in trouble. So I put this all on the blame on society, and people have different levels of culpability, obviously, based on the proximity to the situation. So no, I don't think it's worse for a kid to have a bad upbringing than for a kid to be butchered alive via abortion. Why should the mother who did not consent to the act that created the pregnancy be forced to carry a pregnancy she did not willingly participate in? Is that not a further violation of her person? Well, I don't want to answer that question in a willy-nilly fashion. Some of you know that Sori and I did ministry in a downtown area with a lot of very, very vulnerable women. And I always say 90% of them had been sexually assaulted, but the facts are every single one of them I talked to was sexually assaulted. So that's not a hypothetical question to me. We ran into girls that kept the baby, and we also ran into the girls that elected to kill a child. And just like I said about the death penalty to the rapist, where I said I could never support it, I understand it. I understand why the young lady would do that. My issue is one of justice. Do we compound the bodily violation of this woman? Do we compound that evil with adding another evil, which is the permanent bodily violation of another human being that had nothing to do with it? And the vast majority of rapes, according to Rain, and the vast majority of rapists go scot-free. So in that scenario, I've got a woman who's damaged for life. Now, women are strong in this country. They're strong everywhere. You have to be a woman in a world dominated by men. I've seen women overcome that and live their lives, but they're scarred for life. I've also seen dudes who've gotten away with murder, in my opinion, because I believe rape is a form of murder based on what Deuteronomy says. But then I've got another little Homo sapien to think about, and I could never justify telling that kid, yep, you deserve to die because your father was an evil bastard. If somebody's going to die out of those three, it should be the person that committed the act of rape, which again, I believe is an act of murder to a degree, definitely murder of the soul. If somebody has to die out of those three, definitely should be the person who did the act. Real question with collectivism in mind, which I also subscribe to. How can we ever atone for such deep and heavy sins in the eyes of God? We can't, Bricktown. And that was the entire point of the debate that I had in Isaiah 53. It says, all we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. So the one bore the sins of the collective. And so that's why I have hope for the country. Sarcast, most of the time when you and I talk, I know that you're like multilingual, but when you and I talk, you almost exclusively speak to me in English. So why all of a sudden when we're talking about babies and abortion do you start speaking Latin? Fetus is simply a term for a baby post 8 weeks gestation. That's just a fact. So how about we just use common parlance and stop trying to play games with words? I agree with that, Stephen. I agree. Well, yeah, Bricktown. The story of the gospel. I sent, and reach out to Sarcast because he can still send you the article. The idea is not that we can ever atone for our own sin. The idea is that we need somebody else to atone for our sins because we're nasty as hell. If you send me a text, I'll send you the video of that debate that I did because it's about that very topic. And I think that you might find it interesting. Collectivism is the idea that, in America, particularly in the Western world, there's this idea of the rugged individual, right? Ayn Rand, like, hey, man, I'm doing my thing. I'm responsible for me. I'm only responsible for me. Cain kind of set it off, right? Am I my brother's keeper? And he wanted to hear a no answer. And the obvious answer is yes, right? So collectivism means that we sink and swim together, which means that just as there could be a small group of people who then affect the public good as a whole. So, for example, you had a couple hundred people fighting in the Revolutionary War that all of us collectively enjoy today, the freedoms that they got. It also means that we all collectively share in national sins as well, which also means to some degree we have to collectively atone on a practical level for the sins of our nation, right? So I can't say, oh, it's all those evil leftist abortion, blah, 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 Trump, blah, blah, blah. I can't put that on them. I've got to say I'm a member of the American society, so I'm part of it. So there's a sense in which, I share in the collective guilt of my folks, right? So that's collectivism. And it's a real understanding of taking accountability together for the things that we've done. Do you care to do a live or DM me on IG? You seem intelligent, could possibly be a challenge. I ain't harsh, no anti-hominism, I'm an apostate, no, I'm a right libertarian. Send me a Tristan, send me an email, Vin and Sori at gmail.com. Well, good, Token. The vast majority of abortions, about 99.9% of them, are done after the child has a heartbeat. They'll send you home if there isn't enough of a distinction between you and the baby, because they don't want to puncture your uterine wall, because you could go into sepsis. And that's one of the reasons why outside the abortion clinic, many times there's a ready-made ambulance there. I agree, Teo. Everyone says they're pro-life until it comes to funding orphanages, education. Yeah, I think we need to have a much more holistic understanding of what it means to be pro-life. And just being anti-abortion is not pro-life. Many people who claim that they're pro-life are also very pro-war. They're very pro-death penalty. They're against Medicare for all, which we know objectively that thousands of people are dying every year. Young people, not just old people. As a matter of fact, old people are basically covered because Medicare covers them. So there's a lot of situations in which the people who call themselves pro-life reveal themselves to be not pro-life at all. Token, there's no way I can argue with you. You're absolutely right. Well, Arya, that's great, but you are pretending as if you're not causing ultimate suffering to the baby. So I'm sorry, but you have to consider that. What you're saying is you're willing to punish the child. You're willing to publish a baby for the sins of his father, which is all ultimate suffering. Well, Mark, you have no idea how right you are. Just as I said that abortion itself is an industry. Make no mistake, pro-lifism is also an industry. Make no mistake about it. There's a Babylon Bee article about, Republicans trying to figure out how they're going to get elected if Roe v. Wade gets repealed, because that's one of the things they always have in the back pocket, because they fool gullible Christians into believing that they really actually care about the abortion question. Sarcast. You know what I wish people would do? I say this all the time, and I almost never get anybody to take me up on it. Please read the debates about during the abolitionist period of the American slave trade. You had very nice, well-meaning white people telling people like John Brown, just hold off. What you're talking about is irrational, and it lacks nuance. Just hold off, and we'll get these Negroes freed in a piecemeal fashion. That's what they were telling him. I wish you guys would read that, because you guys sound exactly like those folks. Are you Trump or Biden? I'm neither, man. I can't bring myself for neither. Yeah, Cassia, I hear you. And Cassia, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Cassia. You get to speak your story and you get to articulate what happened to you, to whoever you choose to tell it to. And because of that, I can now see your humanity and enter into your suffering with you. But children who die as a result of abortion don't get that opportunity. So if people could hear, they tore my arms apart, they tore my legs apart, they tore my torso apart, they crushed my skull until my brain exited my mother's cervix. That's how I left the world. If people could hear those testimonies, people would have vastly different opinions on abortion. But because they can't, it is up to those of us who can speak to speak for them. So I'm not going to, and you're not doing this, but I'm not going to play the game where I leverage the woman's suffering against the baby's suffering. There's only one villain here. There's only one villain here who deserves to die, and that is the rapist. The other two are people that society should coalesce around and find the best possible ways to heal both of them in the best possible way we can. Nope. It's only a false comparison to you, Sarcast, because you dehumanize the subjects of abortion. That's the only reason slavery is not a viable analogy to you. It's because you've completely dehumanized the subjects of abortion. But it's a scientific fact. The subjects of abortion are human beings. And I do not believe that babies are the properties of their mothers. Babies are the responsibilities. They're the responsibility of the mother. They're not the property of the mother. Sure, Adam Eve, I'll debate whoever on abortion. Yes, Spark Brain, I'm actually against the death penalty, right? So when I talk about the concept of sexual assault, my only argument is, look, I'm for life, I'm against the death penalty, but if one of those three people had to die, the baby, the mother, or the baby, the woman, or the rapist, if somebody has to die, then let it be the guy who actually committed the crime. The woman has committed no crime. She's grinding every day to survive, both physically and emotionally. The baby surely hasn't committed any crime. So if somebody has to die here, if we're in a culture that's obsessed with death as a result of rape, then the person who committed the crime should die. I don't believe anybody should die in the sense that I would never support the death penalty, but I'm just going to the aspect of if somebody is going to die. You won't deny that both parties are right, women and body autonomy and the right of the child to live. You pick one side and won't accept anything else. Yeah, I won't accept anything else. Neither did John Brown, Sarcast. Now, Sarcast, listen to me, brother. Play close attention because I love you to death. But you don't come from a people group who were dehumanized by people in this country. I do. So I'm not going to give any quarter to the idea that there's an entire demographic of human beings in my country that are dehumanized to the point where we can execute them after they've committed no crimes. And I'm certainly not going to take part in a zeitgeist that says, hey, you've got Down syndrome, let's tear you apart in the 9th month of your existence. So it's a little bit different for me. You can sit back and say, hey, let's come up with these cool compromises and yada, yada, yada. But you have the privilege, A, of being a born person. So you're speaking on behalf of these people. You're making decisions for these kids who have no voice of their own. And you don't come from a heritage of people who were dehumanized in this country. Your heritage are the dehumanizers who killed a bunch of people. That's where you come from. I come from a completely different set of ideas. Right, Stephen R. Moore. And during the abolitionist period, They were telling him to calm down, and they were telling John Brown to be reasonable, and they were telling John Brown that he needed to compromise and all this other stuff, and he said, hell no. No, I'm not going to compromise. It's easy for you to compromise, Sarcast. Tell that to the 26-year-old baby who's about to get torn to shreds tomorrow, which, according to the Mayo Clinic, according to the Mayo Clinic, is the second most popular form of abortion. You can sit here and talk about compromise, but I guarantee you, if you were that baby in there, you wouldn't want to compromise.
Ugh. My friend was telling me, she works in the ER, and she said that somebody came in, they had their ultrasound. It looked like the child had Edwards syndrome. And so the mom opted to not have the baby. So they induced her. So when you have your ultrasound, you're at 20 weeks. So they induced her. And as soon as the baby was born, they rushed the baby out of there to a separate room, give it morphine and nothing, no feeding, nothing, because they're obviously wanting it to die. And they just leave it there. And it cried. Well, she didn't say it cried. I pictured that it cried. For 3.5 hours, it lived before it died. Just struggling in that room by itself.
You want me to compromise with that? I'm not compromising with that. I'm not compromising at all. And I'm a very nuanced thinker. This is not one for nuance. The people who are calling for nuance in this discussion are people that have the privilege of not facing a death sentence tomorrow. So you're saying that, just like in the abolitionist discussion, you had very nice, sophisticated white people sitting around for tea while their slaves got them their dinner, and they were debating the virtues or vices of this, and then let's come up with a piecemeal plan. And then you had John Brown outside setting fire to their plantation. And history said, no, John Brown was right here. And there were lots of moving parts that the anti-abolitionists were talking about. What are we going to do about the economy? What are we going to do about these disenfranchised Negroes? What are you going to do with the white rage that happens where their entire life savings are completely destroyed? And it's because these Negroes have no education. There was very, very complex issues there that to this moment, we still haven't figured out about how to integrate Black people into this society. But you know what? I'm very happy that John Brown didn't compromise with anybody.
Ramo. If I was born disabled, I wouldn't want to be born in America.
Correct. You might not be born.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Well, Vicious, look, man. There's kids in orphanages right now. They're going to have a life of pain too. Why don't we just go and kill them all? Everybody that's going to have a life of pain, let's just kill them all.
Yeah. Wow.
How is that a positive argument? Why do you disrespect Messi? Because I'm a Ronaldo guy. Well, no, man, you need to work on it. Just kill them, man. They're gonna have a hard life, Vicious. So just kill them. That's your argument. Why they use dilation and carotid abortion as a means of abortion in I have no idea. Correct, Boston Viking. We're assuming they have a hard life. What's that girl? There's that girl, the top gymnast in the world right now. Her mother was a crackhead. They were telling to abort her, and Simone Biles. They're like, oh, go, just abort her. And mom's a drug head, blah, blah, blah. And now she's like the greatest of all time. And there's so many stories like that.
Wow.
Give these kids a chance. Human beings are pretty adaptable. Give them a chance to live. It's not for you. It's not for you to decide for them that they shouldn't be able to live.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't follow. Look, here's Sarcast again. Sarcast. It's very easy. Don't kill innocent human beings. Sarcast, this is literally, and no disrespect to you, I love you, we're in a band together, but this is literally the same exact argument that slaveholders were using against John Brown, who was calling for the entire abolition of the slave trade. They were literally saying, you're being too simplistic here. Some things need to be simple about. When the Nazis were killing off them Jews, it's real simple. Don't kill innocent Jews. You shouldn't do that because they're human beings. John Brown was right. We're not gonna treat people like oxen. People are not oxen. Oxen are oxen. People are people. And you're dead wrong here. We should not kill innocent human beings. My mother didn't abort me despite her father, then suffered years and years of abuse from the earliest time I can remember till about 7 or 8. And if I'm honest, I'm still glad I'm alive. Well, if I'm honest, I'm still glad you're alive, because we're actually friends outside of this channel, and it would be incredibly arrogant and hubris for anybody to say Josh is going to have a hard life. Let's make that decision for him. We're not doing that. I mean, say what you want, Sarcast. You know, when I tell my kids to clean the kitchen and the kitchen isn't clean, they start adding all these complexities. Well, I thought you meant this. I thought you meant by this time. Da 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 da. We make things into complexities when we want to do certain things. So I love you to death, but you're completely on the side of wrong on this particular situation. Nope, not accepting compromise will make it so that we've killed about 61 million children since Roe v. Wade. So I'm not going to compromise on that. No, I didn't straw man your argument. You're saying we should kill living children if they're going to have a hard life, Vicious. So if I carry that to its logical conclusion, there's lots of, I mean, hell, man, there's kids starving in Africa and Yemen right now. Just go in there, kill them all. Send DevGru in there and line them all up against the wall, get rid of them because they're going to have a hard life.
Oh my gosh.
That doesn't work, right? That's bad logic. DevGru would never. I don't know, buddy. I don't know. I've had a hard year. Please leave me alive.
Yeah, exactly. At what age do you stop practicing?
At what age do you stop? Yeah. Well, I mean, talk to Minerva. Talk to Minerva. Yeah, dethrone. Of course, if men were able to be pregnant, I'd be saying the same thing. I'd be saying it's not good to kill innocent Homo sapiens. I blame.
What did they say? They brought up because they're women. Like, as a woman, I am even more against abortion. I have a child in my womb. I think it's crazy that people are saying we should kill children or stick them in a room to die by themselves. It's disgusting, and I can't believe anybody defends it. It's unbelievable to me. And if I don't even agree with the morning after pill, but at least if people were saying, well, you know what? If something bad happens to you and you did the morning after pill, no, that's not what's happening. You're waiting and waiting and waiting till these children have heartbeats and everything else. I don't agree with the morning after pill. Just put that out there. But at least if it was that, no, we're waiting till these children are 20 weeks, 36 weeks, Bernie's okay with. That's insane. And I cannot believe that anybody in their right mind would defend something like that. And generations from now, they're going to look back at our people, this generation, and they're going to think it was a generation of friggin' psychopaths, because that's what it is. To kill babies and to kill children from the safety of their mother's womb is absolutely and totally disgusting and insane. So don't bring up a woman thing, or if you're a man, if you could get pregnant, because I'll tell you what, it's a much more emotional topic for a woman who has carried children in her womb. Unbelievable.
Well, there you go. I've got 10 minutes. So we got to land the plane. Safety of the mother that wants to kill it in the first place? Kill what? What are we killing?
Can't even. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Dorian's looking older. So yeah, my little boy's growing up. So what, Sarcast? There's all types of crimes that happen around me. That doesn't change anything. Sarcast, listen, bro. All you are saying is that the Nazis killed the wrong kinds of innocent human beings. That's all you're saying. You have an ontological hierarchy of human value. That's all this is. If you valued all human beings equally, you could never make such a silly argument. You are saying, and the Bible talks about claiming to be wise and becoming a fool. Vicious, I'm going to read out loud what you're saying. You are saying force women that want to kill their baby not to have that baby. I want to read that again. You are saying force women that want to kill their baby to have that baby. Yes. And if a woman wants to strangle her newborn to death, I would want the law to force her not to do that too. Well, you could say all you want, but Sarcast, it's true. That's what you believe. You believe the Nazis killed the wrong types of innocent human beings. You don't believe it's always wrong to kill innocent human beings. That's obvious. So then the only thing the Nazis did wrong in your worldview is that they killed the wrong kinds of innocent human beings. I still love you. But that's where you are. Yes, Randy. They did. During the Crusades, we absolutely killed the wrong kinds of human being, which is any type of human being. Then we have to define life because it seemed you think life is both an unconscious being and a conscious being. Yes, Vicious, when you are asleep, you're unconscious, but I'd still say you're a human being. You've said some pretty horrific things in this stream, but when you're not conscious, you're still a human being. Science tells us when life begins. It's not a religious issue. We know when life begins. So there's no debate in the scientific community about life. Let me see what Kellen Dross is claiming that I accepted. So having your own kids and adopted said make adoption more accessible and easier, expecting mothers. Well, I mean, of course. Well, I don't agree with the stop having kids of your own thing. But as I said earlier, if we took that $8 trillion and reinvested that into the lives of young women and took that $8 trillion and incentivized more families for adoption, then I would be 100% with that. Well, not all lives are precious to you, Sarcast. Some lives you're okay with destroying. So it's not. To Zonia's point, this is something that people don't understand. A lot of states prevent gay couples from adopting too, which makes things difficult for adoption. I agree. We got to open the floodgates. We got to take care of these kids. It's our moral responsibility to do so. 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes. Having a choice to kill their child. This is ridiculous. No, I'm not pro-slavery. I'm just for slave owners having a choice. What
There's
this,
no difference.
the stuff that people say is just this. The logic just goes right off the rails whenever this subject comes up. And otherwise, very rational people.
There's no scientific difference besides you and a baby.
Yeah, correct. There's no sign. The only difference between me and Orion is that I'm a more developed human than he is.
Right.
That's all.
Which he could progress into a. So if you want to hold someone's value to how much they're developed, a child has more potential just to go beyond. To go beyond, even if you hold into that extent, it's still flawed.
Yeah, and I mean, to be frank, abortion is not the easy way out for women. I've cried with women as they've told me that they've had an abortion, and that they think about it every time they see a school bus or drive by kids playing by the park. It's not an easy solution. Yeah, look at Sarcast, all the silliness. Sarcast, should a woman be able to kill her child a day before she delivers, yes or no? Just answer the question. See, now here's the argument. Here's the argument. You can't take a woman's body hostage against her will. Okay. Sarcast, should women be able to kill a child at the 40-week mark, yes or no? Okay. So Sarcast, if I was promoting 36-week abortion, you know what I could say to you? I could literally use the exact same argument that you used. Who are you to hold a woman's body hostage just because it's at the 36th week? You're still holding her hostage. You mean to tell me you're going to make her have that baby? What's wrong with you? Don't you believe in bodily autonomy? See, it's a dumb argument. It doesn't work. It only works if you're like Hillary Clinton and Bernie and you believe in being able to kill children right up to the day before birth. But if you don't believe in killing children the day before birth, then the woman's body hostage thing is just rhetoric. It's not a real argument, right? No, it's a black and white question. It's 100% a black and white question. I mean, I'll wait. You're the last person I'll address, Paul Pansbot. No, it's 100% black and white, for sure. Nope. Adra, the metal outlaw. No, there's no correlation between abortion and masturbation, because in abortion, you're killing an entirely separate organism. Your sperm are not an entirely separate organism.
What do you mean? What do you mean? But does the point of development matter? I haven't been here, so what's he?
Yeah, I mean, Sarcast, I praise God that you were not around during the slave trade. I thank God that you weren't around during the slave trade. I love you, but you're not the type of person that would have got me free, bro. So, Randy, you believe in killing babies because their fathers were bad people? So you don't think we should kill you don't think we should kill babies, Randy, because their fathers are bad people? If that's the case, then you and I are in agreement. I agree. We should not kill babies because their fathers are bad people. What we do with them is adopt them. That's what we do. Sarkast is a good friend of mine. He's one of my best friends on the channel, and we're actually in a band together. I'm very proud of being in a band with him. On this topic, he's just on the wrong side of history. Good. Sarkast, thank you for recognizing that. You're for compromising, and the Bible isn't. That's why I said I wouldn't have wanted you around during the slave trade, because you would have been seeking to compromise with those folks. You would have. Because this is a much more heinous crime than the slave trade. I still love you, though. And Sarkast, the fact that Ben Webb agrees with you should say everything you need to know.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Well, again, Sarkast, thank you for that. But like I said, I'm very happy that you were not around during the antebellum period, because you would have been the nice, rational white guy telling all of us to compromise and not take such a radical, simplistic, unnuanced, black and white view of liberating slaves. But again, a lot of this has to do with our background. Because when you say that shit, I'm thinking, holy shit, what would have happened to me in 100 years from now if we had Sarkast running the shop? So you don't come with that as a background, so that doesn't come into play with you. Thank you, Rex. All I asked for is a fair hearing, man. That's all I asked for. Boston Viking is a savage. Whoa. Let's slow down here. What if they just spend half their day in slavery? Just half. Just 50%. No, Sarkast, what I'm telling you is the argumentation and the pragmatism that you yourself stated is literally cut and paste the same exact notion during the antebellum period. There's some things that people shouldn't compromise on. Slavery is one, and killing baby is another one. We shouldn't do that. No, a sperm does not demonstrate organismal behavior, and it doesn't direct its own development. One. Well, we operate on principles, and your principles of compromise and pragmatism would not have served me well during the antebellum period. Sarkast. The cutoff point is the moment of conception, because that's when a human life begins, according to science. That's also true, Gamey Cactus. He really wouldn't specifically name white supremacist organizations. You know, Biden talked about Proud Boys, but if he would have just said, hey, the KKK, right, then problem solved. But he wouldn't do it. And I don't think it's because he's friends with the KKK. I just think that, you know, Biden brought up the Proud Boys, and Trump is too smart of a, and I'm not particularly certain that the Proud Boys are a white supremacist group, because they've got black people in it. So I you know, like, I'm not particularly certain that you can make that argument. Right. He told the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by it. Correct.
Wow, Glenn, that's cool.
I appreciate that, Glenn. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, Sarkast, but I don't care what you call the governmental system, democracy, theocracy. I don't care what you call it. I'm never, ever going to compromise with people who kill innocent human beings. I'm never going to do that. America did lose tonight. That is true. That is 100% true. Yeah, Seven Dusted. I didn't really understand why Trump wouldn't just say, "Okay, the KKK. I disavow the KKK." Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand what he was doing. It's really strange. I don't know if he I understand why he wouldn't disavow the Proud Boys, but just say the KKK.
mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's crazy.
I'm sure he has a reason. Whether we would agree with it or think it's right is another question.
Yeah, Kel, saying white supremacy is bad, and at one point he said, "Who do you want me to condemn?" He said, "Who do you want me to condemn to Chris Wallace?" Which that was like one of the few times when I was like, "Oh, that was like, yo, like you're basically saying I'll just say what you want me to say," and that actually shockingly, Biden came in and said Proud Boys, which I thought was a brilliant tactic, because now what that means is, it's kind of a gray area group, and it's his constituency. He put Trump in a serious pickle. Serious pickle. I thought that was actually a very good debate thingy by Biden. When are we going to get the resolution issue solved? If we do it on my computer, it works like a charm. We do it on Sori's computer, it's a disaster because she did an upgrade.
It's weird because if we do it on his computer, I didn't do an upgrade. There might have been one that went automatically, but if we do it on his computer, the resolution is fixed, but the audio doesn't line up. When I try to put the song in, it will be like off. The audio lines up perfectly on mine, but the resolution sucks.
Yeah, we only get it into 480, right?
Yep.
We spent a lot of money on that camera.
Yeah,
we
it's
didn't spend it for no
480.
480.
It's recording it in 1080.
Right. Yeah, Rich. Why didn't you close the tax loophole, Biden? Tasco, bro. I was literally crying. Remember when he said, that Biden was saying, "I didn't close the loophole until you became president because you screwed it." I was like, that's like the heaviest laugh I've had in quite some time. Shout out to Trump.
His donors were too busy.
Here's sarcasm. I'm right, and the Bible is always right. Ridiculous. I never even say anything about the Bible, bruh. That's a silly thing to say. I love you, but you're silly as hell. Oh yeah, yeah. We're still using iMovie, Z, and Sori updated iMovie. I didn't update it. So when you do it on my computer, it goes up 1080, no problem. When you do it on hers now, it's a problem. So I don't really. Yeah, crazy zealot. I do believe that Chris Wallace, that going forward in these debates, especially with a guy like Trump, you got to have a mute button. You got to be able to mute him. A lot of people were not fans of how Chris Wallace handled Trump, but I feel like Trump's domination of the conversation made it necessary for Chris Wallace to push back as hard and as frequently as he did. But if we had a clicker, that would solve the problem. Cassie, you cannot play debate drinking games when you're listening to Trump on anything. Right, Paul. I hear you. They acted like such children. I think we need to talk. Yeah, Kel. It's one of those things where sometimes you wish that they took it seriously. I remember when Bernie Sanders and Hillary were debating in the Democratic primaries. Those debates were, to me, the standard. It was really, really, really clear. Later, Matthew, thanks for hanging out. Those debates between Hillary and Bernie were the standard, in my opinion, if you're just talking about debate and the exchange of ideas and things of that nature. I thought those debates were great. but they were boring Trump. I don't know, bro. I got to tell you, the Bernie Clinton debates were not boring to me. You know, if you think about policy and you think about politics and the way everything works, it's I think it's really cool. But yeah, for most people, yeah, it was probably boring. Probably. Yeah, people like the drama. You know, they like the you know, and you know, Trump completely changed the game to where the debates went from the pretension that you were trying to be informative to now it's just a show, right? Like it's just a show now, and it's not really about letting us see the antithesis between the two candidates. No, anger and emotion about abortion is not pointless. It's righteous. Who would I vote for in the Bible? Probably the Apostle Paul, because he very intelligent, never got married, so he could really do a lot. I think the Apostle Paul could really do a lot, and he was the clearest thinker who handled, in my opinion, very complex subjects in a amazingly intelligent fashion. Are you a fan of socialized healthcare? Over time, it's proven to not work. Out for the better. Tristan, I'm not married to any single idea. What I am married to, though, is that we've got 28 million people in that are in that gap that don't have any coverage. Sori and I, like I said, we just paid off like 13 grand in the last 30 days in medical bills. And we were able to pay that all off in one shot, but at the same time, we're saving up for a house, and the average American does not have 13 grand to just throw out anywhere. So the average American doesn't even have $1,000 in an emergency fund, much less a medical fee. So I don't care what you call it, but I do care that we've got people dying in pretty significant numbers because they lack the capital for healthcare. I don't need a 10-stage plan, Sarcast. I've got the John Brown plan. We're just going to abolish it. And it's going to happen in my lifetime, mashallah. Thanks, Chris. Paul's legit one of the most important writers in the first century, one of the few Greek-speaking Jews writer of the period, pretty egalitarian view for his day. 100%. I agree with that. I have an average $300 in case of emergencies. Yeah, Kel, and if you think about it, think about the COVID. You know, I'm fully convinced that one of the reasons why it spread so badly here is because people were sick, but because they're under this crazy financial duress, they can't call out of work, so they're infecting all their coworkers. And it's mind-boggling to me that we still haven't figured it out. We still haven't figured it out. It's unbelievable. All right, guys. I said 5 minutes about 20 minutes ago. So I got to get out of here. But thank you guys very, very much for hanging out. Thank you for the conversations. Much love to all my interlocutors. Sarcast, one of my favorite guitarists in the world, who's not really a guitarist. Bricktown Media, shout out to him. If you need anything on the YouTube side, whether it's editing a video or thumbnails, Bricktown is your guy. Will we be doing a live stream tomorrow? Anthony Smith, shout out to him. Well, stop being on the side of wanton, evil, sarcast, and we'll be good. 7 Dusted in the house. Boston in the house. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really, really appreciate it. And I don't take it for granted. I had a little meltdown here after the whole Trump situation. You guys were good. You guys were good to me on that. So thank you guys very much. It's a real thing, man. Like, we need you guys just as much. So that was pretty hard for me. It's tough. It's been tough for me to see my own countrymen kill each other. You know, I wasn't born here, so it's a little bit different for me when I see that happen to my own folks. So I'm glad you guys were there in that particular situation. All right, guys, you're out. Say goodbye to the people.
Bye.
You did a good job. I'm very proud of you.
You are.
Very proud of you guys. Love y'all. Take care of each other, guys. Please. Because if we learned anything from this situation, the government is not here for us. They're not going to take care of us. That's a fact. I have mail and chips for you. Abomination. Abomination. Go to bed. I'm going to try. I'll probably be, what do you call it? Kai was in the house. Holy moly. Holy moly. Z in the house. Shout out to Z. Shout out to Amy Lee. Bro, can you fix my guitar that you just distuned, man? You guys are killing me. Killing me. Be on the lookout for Matthew Maida's channel. I think it's like Ranter Matt or something. Let me put it in there. He's got a very unique voice, I think, in the political commentary space. He does these rant thingies. He just looks into a camera and rants all day. And I don't suggest people I don't think are good. I just don't talk about them. But I do believe that Ranter Matt is good. So here you go. Put that website up there. You guys should check it out. Give them a listen. And with that, Stephen Armour, please, bro. Number one, I need to pronounce your name properly. But number two, send me an email. I've got some things in the band that I want to bounce off of you. It's not going to be a lot, and it's not high impact, I promise. I promise. Thank you, Paco. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's hot up here. I got to pay Sori some attention, though. Do me a favor, bro, and bring my dinner up there. Yeah. You know, the ribs and stuff.
Ribs.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair.
Oh, here.
Okay, Stephen, that's great. Good. Because we need you to. It'll be the perfect song, but we need some more. Thanks, Juan Velasquez. Great community, even if we have different views. Thank you very much, Anna. Very insightful. You as well. I had fun with everybody. This is probably one of the best. Just bring it in Mom's room because I gotta check on see she's all right. Send me an email, please. I will give Sori a hug. This baby's kicking her booty, man. Like she's like, it's very hard for her to stay up, like she used to back in the day. But baby's he's growing. He's putting on like a pound every other day, some nonsense like that. It's pretty cool stuff.
Please text her. She's not answering.
Okay. All right, guys. I really gotta go. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to let her rest, but honestly, I'm not a fan of Sori going to sleep because I miss her. That's my buddy. Love you guys. Vin out.